Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free right now. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
Rakuten is the smartest way to save money when you shop because you earn cash back at over 3,500 stores. Fashion, beauty, electronics, home essentials, travel, dining, concert tickets, and more. Your favorite stores like Lowe's, Levi's, and Nike pay Rakuten to send them shoppers. And Rakuten then passes on a part of that payment to its members as cash back. You're already shopping at your favorite stores. Why not save while you're doing it? It's a no-brainer. Membership is free and easy to sign up. Get the Rakuten app now and join the 17 million members who are already saving. Cashback rates change daily. See Rakuten.com for details. That's Rakuten. Your cashback really adds up.
Your weekly dose of romance and drama has arrived. Season 29 of The Bachelor is here, and Grant Ellis, certified hottie and former day trader, is trading his day job on Wall Street for a second chance at everlasting love. New episodes drop every Monday at 8/7 Central, bringing you fresh twists in Grant's journey to find his soulmate. This self-proclaimed mama's boy is all grown up and ready to invest his heart. Will his playful charm win over the house full of hopefuls, or will the competition prove too intense? From heartfelt moments to adrenaline-pumping dates, each week brings new surprises in the mansion. Will Grant find his perfect match or end up with a broken heart? Tune in every Monday at 8/7 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu for new episodes of The Bachelor.
Everybody, and welcome back to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us. It's a wonderful day here,
it is,
obviously, as every Crime and Sports Day is. We're very excited for this because this is something we've wanted to do for years, and we're finally doing it today. We're very excited. We hope you are as well. We'll get to it in just a second. Quickly, though, shutupandgivememurder.com. Merch, tickets to live shows, all sorts of stuff like that. Also, you should listen to our other two shows, Small Town Murder, which is just like it sounds. It's like this, except with small town murders. And then Your Stupid Opinions. If you haven't checked that out yet, check it out because, damn it, we will put it up against anything. It's the funniest damn hour in podcasting. So check that out, please, and listen and do all that. And if that's not enough for you, we have more. There is more. Patreon.com/crimeinsports is where you get all of the bonus material, and there's a ton of it. Anybody $5 a month or above, that's a cup of coffee. You can either have a cup of coffee or hundreds of back episodes that you'll immediately get access to of bonus stuff, and then new ones every other week.
Right.
This week, what you're going to get, one Crime and Sports, one Small Town Murder, and you get access to all of it. You're going to want to hear it all this week for sure. For Crime and Sports, we're going to talk about something that has nothing to do with sports, but is wild. It's industrial disasters, and it is just people like in a boardroom, and then their steel factory explodes, and they are, melted with molten steel in 12 seconds. It's amazing. It's wild stuff, crazy, crazy deaths, and all sorts of insanity. Then for Small Town Murder, we're going to talk about the cannibal cop from about 10 years back. If you remember that, this was a guy who didn't actually eat anybody, but definitely said he wanted to, and they were trying to figure out if that was a crime or not. And he also happened to be a member of the police force, which made it a little more complicated. So we'll talk about all that. Patreon.com/crimeinsports is where you get all of that, and you'll get a shout out at the end of the show. Jimmie will fuck your name up, and we promise that from the bottom of our hearts. That said, let's get into this because we have a lot of asshole in front of us here. This is going to be a multi-parter because we're going to do a redo, which we haven't really done before. We are going to do we did this guy in the first 10 episodes, I believe. And back then we were trying, for some reason we thought that no one will listen to a show over an hour. Yeah, we were like, we can't have it be more than an hour. So the first time we did it, it was an hour long, this episode. And this is a guy that, I mean, an hour doesn't even touch. You could talk about one of his crimes for an hour and a half because it's really horrible and it's awful. So we said, damn it, we need to give him the full treatment. We did him too early. We didn't know what we were doing yet. We did it way too early. And that's back to in the day where we were recording in my living room on
Yeah, it was bad sound.
bad mics. The first 46 episodes, I think, the sound is not terrific. And by the way, I'm going to try to do something about that and see if I can
Adjust it a bit?
I'm going to see if I can mess with it a little bit and make it a little bit stronger and louder and all that sort of thing. So those weren't great. So we said, damn it, this man has done too much. He's just been way too big of a piece of shit to let slide with 1 hour. It's Fast Eddie Johnson, everybody.
Terrific. Yeah.
He's, by the way, probably definitely top 10 worst person that we've ever done in terms of
To ever live, maybe.
that's possible. That's what I mean. You can't get if you
a bad
put
guy.
If you put people in front of him, it would have to be only for one reason because they killed the person that they were doing this to. So otherwise, was a complete menace his entire career.
Yeah, serial criminal.
Serial criminal, just constantly arrested. Like he'd get out of jail and they'd be like, oh man, he got arrested again. And that night he'd get arrested again. It was like, what the fuck are you doing? Stop getting arrested, you lunatic.
It's fascinating that Aaron Hernandez got away with what he did for so long.
Yeah.
But this is just as bad minus murder.
Oh,
You know what I
God.
mean? He's doing horrible shit, too.
And he got caught for everything. That's the other thing. Eddie is not he's either not a very good criminal or he's so prolific at crime that these times getting caught aren't even that often. It's just he does that much crime. Those are the only options here.
He's so busy criming.
Yeah.
You're bound to get caught a couple of times.
Or he's just the worst criminal who's ever lived and gets caught for everything he does. He gets arrested so often, it almost has to be that. It has to be just that he's such a lunatic.
Yeah. And I mean, I've been around cops a lot. I've had a lot of police interaction. I've been detained. I've been handcuffed.
That's a great sentence. I've had a lot of police interaction. That's an awesome sentence.
A lot where they were asking me questions.
Yeah.
And I've never, the amount of times that he must have been in police presence has to be crazy because you don't get arrested every time.
No. And when he does, too, he's got to go down to the station. It's a lot. They must have been like, it's Eddie again. Hey, Eddie, how you doing? You want your normal cubicle? Yeah, please. And they sit him down. They have him do like paperwork since they know he's going to be there for a while. He does like some HR stuff, some house cleaning while he's there. So this is Edward Lee Johnson Jr., of course. Yes. And this was one of the first times where we started noticing Eddie Johnson episode has a lot of firsts in it. It's our first time we discovered mistaken identities because, as we'll find out at the end of this episode, there's a couple that are really unfortunate. Like if you Google search Fast Eddie Johnson, you'll still get the one guy's picture most places. Yeah. It's very terrible, and he never did a fucking thing. No, this poor bastard.
Poor guy, and he was a great basketball player.
Nice guy, big
and a
smile.
Terrific announcer.
There he is, doing what Eddie did. And then we noticed the I'm Good Now fluff piece also came from Eddie Johnson. So we were like, he's good now. Yeah, everything's fine. And then the next day he's arrested again. Yeah. And then the junior thing we noticed. There's a lot of juniors. You noticing a lot of these guys are either having juniors or are juniors.
Real unfortunate.
So this is a landmark episode. Let's start right out. He's born February 24th, 1955 in Ocala, Florida. And I remember that very clearly. And he's only 6'2", by the way, NBA player, but he's Fast Eddie Johnson. And back in his day, I mean, if you watch old footage of him, he was a fucking streak. I mean, he was really fast with the ball.
Did he play point or shooting guard?
Point guard. Yeah, he's too small to be a shooting guard. Well, he played shooting guard, too, a lot, but I think he's... It's weird because, he's...
In the fast lineup, they'll put him at number 2.
But I still think that, like, a lot of times, depending on who they have at point guard, you get your point guard would switch because the shooting guard was too big to guard him. A lot of times, you get that sort of thing, which is nice because he's a matchup. It's hard to match him up. So that's another thing you get here. So we'll talk a little bit about him. And he was, in his day, even as fucked up as he was, a fucking good player. That's the sad part. And then, it all fell apart from there. He's the oldest of 5 children. So in his 5 brothers and sisters, he's the oldest. One of his brothers, as we found out last time, is Frank Johnson. The other point guard, who again never did anything wrong.
No, no.
So you have
Looked like a California raisin, but didn't do anything bad.
He didn't do shit bad. No, he was fine. And Frank, well, I think he fucked like the Phoenix Suns owner's wife or something, didn't he? Allegedly, in that whole thing. There was a big controversy there.
I don't make accusations anymore.
Oh, fuck that. I think he was fucking somebody's wife allegedly. I believe that was him, and he got fired or reprimanded or some.
Wasn't he a coach though of them?
Yes,
after a while too.
That's when it happened, when he was a coach.
Oh,
when he was the coach, something was going on there. He pulled an Isaiah Thomas, and there were some issues apparently. I think so. This is one of those things too where you go, okay, all things the same. These two are from the same family. Yeah. They also have they're an inch apart in height. It's not like one is 6'10" and one's 5'11". They're both, similar. They both have very good basketball skills. Yeah. One goes on to be a complete fuck up, disaster, terrible human being, and the other is just fine, just does nothing wrong. So you can't, there's no telling what kids are going to turn out like. You can have the same upbringing exactly, and one kid's a disaster and one kid's fine. It's just how it works. That's life. And people find that out when they're like, we raised them the same. Why does this one suck? There's jails full of people with parents that say that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So anyway, let's talk about him here. His father is Edward Sr., obviously. He was a laborer. He grew up in Weirsdale, Florida. Population about 250 back in the day. Okay. This is a small place, small central Florida community, which sounds hot, very, very hot. Yeah. Not even water to get a breeze off of. And it was built to serve orange grove workers.
Right.
Extremely hot. And I guess they had, do you know what a smudge pot is?
Yes. It's a heater, right?
Yeah, they're lit to protect the crops from the chill.
Yeah, you oftentimes put those in
the winter.
Put diesel in them.
Yeah.
Burn diesel. Yeah.
And that would, I guess, really fuck Eddie up there. He'd be outside playing basketball, and all he could smell, his eyes would be burning.
Yeah.
And all that
they do
shit.
get smoky. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's awful. He said, my father was a common laborer. He picked oranges and worked in the watermelon fields. Oof. I thought I had the basics that you need to be happy. I didn't know we were poor until I considered, or until I started playing basketball.
That is the thing about being poor.
Yeah.
You don't recognize it because everybody around you is also
the problem.
Poor.
Yeah, especially in a place like this. It's not even like in Phoenix, you're poor. If you're a kid,
I mean, if you get out of you get out of your circle, you're poor.
Yeah, if you drive anywhere in Phoenix, you're going to pass through a nice neighborhood and go, "Holy, people fucking live there! Holy shit!" Yeah.
Why don't we get out of our house?
It's 110. Why doesn't this guy have his windows down in his car? Air conditioning? Wow.
What's that?
What an asshole. Yeah.
It's cold in there? Is that what you're saying?
This is a place that nobody everybody's poor around there. Yeah. There's not anywhere to go that's not poor in a small town like this. So I guess everybody was religious and all that kind of thing. He said it was a good neighborhood back then because it was all, a bunch of poor people living in they're all church people and all that kind of shit here. He said you could leave your doors open. When I did something at somebody's house, she'd whoop me and my mom would whoop me. So if you fucked up, the neighbors would kick your ass and then tell your parents about it, and then they'd beat you too.
That's so wild. You could go to a friend's house and their parents would beat you out.
Oh, God, yeah. That's a big deal back then. You get the shit beaten out of you. I love that. I love that scene in Mad Men when the kid knocks a drink over. And the fucking guy smacks him, who's not his father. And then his father comes over, and the guy goes, "You want more? What are you doing?" He's going to smack him too. And the guy goes, "I already gave him a good one. Don't worry about it." And he's like, "Oh, okay.
Thank you."
Thank you. That's what he was like, "Thank you." And then he told the kid to apologize to the man who slapped him.
Yeah.
That's
apologize for his hand being sore right now.
Yeah, he didn't want to have memories of slapping a strange child, but he had to. You gave him no choice.
You scarred that man.
You scarred him.
Because he had to abuse a child.
Poor bastard. This is what happens. Stop making people abuse you. So I guess Eddie would often, and this is scary, babysat for his sisters and brothers.
Really?
Now you'll know by next week, if you haven't heard the first episode, why that's a terrifying thought, that he was babysitting anybody. The youngest brother was Frank. of the group. And he'll be end up going to Wake Forest and all that. And Eddie said, ever since I've been small, people had great expectations for me.
Really?
Yeah, apparently, and this comes from a lot from school here. The grade school he went to, before he got there, he was one of the first integrated classes into the grade school. It was all white before that. Yeah. So, and he graduated 17th in his class of roughly 300 students in high school later, too.
That's awesome.
So that helped a lot. And he said, I didn't think the black grade school I started out in was giving me the education I needed to survive in our society. Who the fuck knows that to think that in grade school?
Yeah.
Imagine being in the 4th grade going, I'm not sure this level of education around me right now is enough to sustain me and to survive in our fast-paced modern world. I just don't know.
I'm trying to graduate with a 4.0.
Yeah, and when you're in 4th grade.
I have my sights set on fucking Yale.
In 4th grade? I don't know about that. I think you're just like, homework? No, homework sucks. That's 4th grade.
We're getting homework now? What is
this? Oh, man.
We have to take this home and do schoolwork?
Hold on. I don't leave this shit here and then just go home and watch cartoons?
Forget about this?
Eddie said, I wanted to become socially involved in the middle class because you have to start in the middle to make any advance. Okay. So that's what he wants. He wants to be in the middle class. So he is a smart guy, Eddie, too. That's the thing. But he also likes to drink just like his dad does, as we'll talk about. And he loves his cocaine, as we know. Yeah. I mean, he's a big fan. Yeah. Like, there's like TV shows where people like enthusiastically eat like meat and they like see how much they can eat and stuff. That's him with coke. He would have a show.
Yeah. If you dedicate your life to like, if there's a mainstay staple brand of something in your life, you have some swag from it.
Oh, totally.
He would have a cocaine shirt.
So much.
Whatever.
So I would feel like
the slogan is.
He'd be in like a wine club for cocaine, though. You know what I mean? Where they'd be sniffing it, going, "Oh, this," telling you exactly what village it came from. I would say south side of the mountain, shady. This is a spring harvest, is what this is. Yeah.
I've certainly owned a Pepsi shirt. I've got a Corona beach towel.
We all have some swag.
If you
from
like
somewhere.
A specific thing, you'll get something. You'll get that Marlboro Canoe.
You will if you smoke hard enough, son. That's a lesson.
You too can have a backpack.
That's what we were taught in the 90s as a lesson. Yeah. It was like, listen, if you smoke hard enough, you can earn yourself that crazy Marlboro racing team jacket that you would never wear.
If you're a loyal enough customer, you may get a trucker hat.
You will get the blow-up boat. I had a friend who got the fucking blow-up boat, the raft boat thing.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Jesus.
He smoked a lot, and he used to go to bars and just like go through their garbages and take all the fucking
steal the miles
off of them back in the day. He was like 16 doing that.
Was it 2 miles or 5 miles?
5 miles.
5 miles. Yeah.
And
golly.
So you do that. Yeah. I had an aunt that worked at a bar that used to steal them for me.
Really?
And we'd pool them up.
Just give you the packs.
Yeah. I don't know whatever happened to the raft. I don't know if we ever went in it, but it had like a little like seat thing in it. It's pretty cool. It was yellow, bright yellow.
So fucking embarrassing.
Yeah, we were trash. What do you want?
Put that on. That's the other. Like, sure, you got this product, but now everybody on Earth sees you with this product and goes, "That motherfucker smokes a lot."
He smoked a lot. You know how many packs of cigarettes? But that was considered impressive back then. They were like, "Wow, you must." You really, you go for the gusto when you want something. I'm impressed. I'm up to 4 packs a day. Good for you. Good for you. I can't stick to things like that. I'm just not. I don't know. That's impressive to me.
Yeah, the shirt was all of them were like a lot of miles too.
Everything was a lot of miles.
Like 20,000 miles for a T-shirt.
It was a lot for that shit. Yeah, and they had like cartons had different miles on them too. Yeah. So,
oh boy,
Eddie's father likes to drink a lot. And this is how he describes his father. Quote, I wouldn't call it a drinking problem.
No, which is having a good time.
A real fun way to start something out. Yeah. If you have to start it out that way, it's not great.
I don't call it that.
He said he worked hard in the field for 6 days. Then 1 day a week, he would celebrate. Under the circumstances, I can't blame him for the way he was.
Yeah, that's just middle-class living, man.
That's not middle class, though. That's
no. If you're working 6 days a week, that's not middle class.
If you're picking watermelons in the hot fucking Florida sun 6 days a week, and then you have to get drunk to heal your body on one day. That's not middle class.
One day's rest after that kind of abuse on it, you're never going to catch up.
Oh, you're going to feel like shit when you go back on Monday, too.
And then you're just punishing yourself with more injuries via cheap booze, probably.
He's not drinking fucking.
No, he's not.
This is
bad.
my 24-year-old single malt here. This is what I only drink this.
This says whiskey on the bottom.
No.
That's all it is.
It had like just X's, just like 3 X's. Like, oh, wow, this is dangerous.
Yeah.
So he said, under the circumstances, I can't blame him for the way he was. So that's interesting. But since he was tiny, all he ever wanted to do was be a basketball player, Eddie. That's it. Mm-hmm. He was shooting hoops in the back of their cinder block house all the time. He made a court out of it's just a sandy yard back there. It's not paved or anything. But he tacked the rim of an old rusted bucket.
Yep.
So like, a jagged at the bottom broken out onto the backboard that he made out of scrap lumber because he just, made a big square out of wood. And that was what he played on. That's how he learned. Yeah. Every year at Christmas, he asked for one thing, a new basketball. That's it.
Every year he got a new ball.
Every year he just wanted a new ball because he'd wear that motherfucker out all year. Yeah. He was a good student, and this is the thing, in school, doesn't get into any trouble.
No kidding.
He's a nice kid, a good kid, a great basketball player, gets good grades. They go, that Eddie's a hell of a nice kid.
Yeah.
Type of kid you'd like your daughter to bring home type of guy. And which, later on he definitely don't want
daughters.
No, nobody's daughter or God forbid granddaughter. So he didn't do anything. His coach said that he created a buzz even as an 8th grader. They knew he was coming the next year to high school. He was big shit. Yeah. He was on the junior varsity squad when he first went to high school. Yeah. And it was ridiculous, though. Like, he was well above anybody's talent level in that. Right. He's racking 30 points a game in JV. Wow. And they're like, well, obviously we're moving him up to varsity here.
Yeah. My son played JV his freshman year, and then there were 2 kids on the team. Do you see? You're not going to make varsity. Do you see what's these kids are on this team?
There's a large chasm between JV and varsity sports in school. It's just
nuts.
It's called talent to just like to play the game. There's a different
and schools have spent so much money on the gymnasium now. Like they have a real court that's like legit real. They got somebody that painted it's crazy. The design on the floor is wild. And then the kids are doing like high flying acrobatic shit. And I'm just like, this isn't us, man.
Yeah.
This isn't a Whisman thing.
You need like a ground sport is what you're looking for. You're like,
you can love this all you want, but
we're built close
don't.
to the ground. So let's find something a low sport if you could.
Have you heard of jacks?
Yeah.
Do they still do that?
You get down low, I think you'd be good at it. So they said, as a quote, this is from his coach, when he was a sophomore, he could dribble between his legs and behind his back. And back then it was pretty much hot dog, except maybe Pete Maravich was doing it.
Right.
So they were like, he's like Pete Maravich, which if you don't know who he is, look up some videos of Pete Maravich.
He was so great.
He's like, he's a fucking magician, with his passes and crazy dribbles. And
was he the granny shot free throw? Was that him?
No, that's Barry. That's Barry. Yeah. All the Barrys did that shit.
You're right. Yeah.
So he did all of that. He said, I said you can throw a pass behind your back, but it dang sure better go where it's supposed to. And he usually did. Yeah. You can do it, but don't fuck up doing that. Because
throw it to somebody else.
Yeah, if your fundamentals are sound and you fuck up, hey, that happens. But if you threw it behind your back into the 4th row, unnecessary.
How about we master it forward first?
Yeah. Well, he's also a big playground player as well, too, because he's just, every minute of the day he's playing basketball and everything like that. And he and his brother are kind of known as the best athletes ever to come from the Wearsdale area. Not a lot of pro athletes from a town of 250 here. Yeah. So in 1989 here, when he's in high school, he is, not 1989. This is
69.
69,
right?
No, he's in. This would be like from 69 to like 74, I believe. Yeah. He's in high school, or 70 to 74. So he's at Lake Weir High. It was a Class AA school, and it was between an orange grove and a lake. His football team had just gone 0-10.
Oh. Promising season.
So, the school is ripe for some good things to happen.
They got
need
so
a hero.
much pent-up enthusiasm.
We
Jesus
need a
Christ.
hero. That's what they're like, please. They lost 91-0 in one game.
Oh, a football game?
In a football game, 91-0. Those are mad numbers
score.
on rookie level. You know what I mean? That's not fair. No, in basketball, people score. Who the hell has a shutout in basketball?
Yeah. But 91 is a basketball score. That's not a
91,
football
no.
score.
91-0 is silly.
What is that, 13 fucking touchdowns?
That's crazy. Yeah, that's so many touchdowns, dude. That's bonkers. So it said it was just a nondescript school. It was a country school, not a lot of people there, so not a lot of great athletes there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Fast Eddie comes in.
Yeah.
And earns the nickname Fast Eddie very quickly because he's fucking fast and he's skilled and he's all of a sudden now his team is something to be reckoned with.
Right.
Because in high school, one great player can dominate a whole.
It changes everything. Yeah.
It didn't matter. Me and you and we could have picked three other people, two other people. And in high school, if we had LeBron on our team like he was there, we would have won everything.
We are amazing.
We're winning. Just pass it to him every time. They can't stop him. That's pretty easy to do. So he really became, kind of hot shit. One of the coaches said that Eddie made us think better about ourselves in our school. And the kids knew that he was one of them, so they cheered and went for him. And
local pride, babe.
Local pride, and that was the other thing too. He helped bring the races together at the school too. That was a big thing. Everybody cheered for Fast Eddie, so it was like
activism, progressive shit. This is beautiful.
He's like pre-murderous OJ.
Yeah,
like 60s OJ and shit. That's what he is. So he said he didn't want to go to. He didn't want to end up being an orange picker.
No.
There, they said that they called being an orange picker Citrus Tech. That's the school you went to. What school are you going to? Citrus Tech. They'd say.
Not bad.
Yeah. So they'd say that, and he doesn't understand. He doesn't really know people that have gone to college for major athletics. There's not a lot of there's no alumni of the school to go, well, he went to here.
Look up to. Yeah.
So he doesn't really know what he's doing here. But he does say he wants to be in the NBA someday. That's his main goal. But he doesn't really know how to exactly get there.
Yeah.
Here.
You got to execute that plan.
Yeah. And in the 8th grade, he was only 5'11", but he's so fast and so skilled. His one coach said, I was impressed by him and saw his potential even then. When he got to high school, he was very polite, a bashful person. Wow, that's not the Fast Eddie we know. He said he played junior varsity football as well as basketball. That's weird. Really? That's strange.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that did that.
He's not a thick guy or anything. Yeah. He's not a fire plug. He's he's not Glenn Robinson or anything. He's a little skinny guy. I don't know anybody
in high school I'm sure it happens.
Oh,
but it's very uncommon for somebody to play those two sports.
Different skill sets on those sports and different body types and all that kind of thing.
Right, size-wise, yeah.
And he said we could see he was a natural athlete during the football season. He could play any position, quarterback, halfback, wide receiver, equally well.
Really?
Just skill. Just when you're that athletic as you're a child, you just stand so far above the other kids that it doesn't really matter.
To see somebody that in control of their body, every movement is calculated. It's crazy.
That's it. Just puberty got to him faster. You know what I mean?
I'll break a fucking ankle.
Oh yeah, the other kids he does.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud,
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
with a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
So on the JV basketball team, he averaged 30 points a game. The coach said, I moved him up to the varsity the last 8 or 9 games of the season, and he earned a starting position in a week and a half.
Wow.
That's on the when he's a freshman. He was absolutely determined not to be a substitute. We won the district championship that year, and Eddie was a major factor in our victory. He said, aware of Eddie's inexperience, the opposing school was double-teaming the other guard early in the game, and Eddie took advantage and made 6 of 8 shots in the first couple minutes in the first quarter. Yeah. Hey, you leave me open, I'm going to bury you.
Why would they do that?
They didn't know. He was a freshman.
The wrong guy.
They picked the wrong guy. They didn't have film on these people. They were just like, who the fuck is this tiny little freshman? Fuck him.
Right.
He said, we had 12 points before the other team realized what hit him. So they said that he got better every year, and he was admired in the community. The coach said that, quote, he was a great attraction for getting the kids to come and practice at the gym, and he excited people into attending summer basketball camps. We never won the state championship while Eddie was on the team, although we were runner-up in 1972, his junior year, which in Florida, that's a pretty...
Yeah. We played in the state championship?
That's crazy.
Good.
That's pretty impressive.
I don't think your team's done anything close to that ever.
No, God, no. They said, but because of his influence, our basketball program picked up measurably, and 2 years after he left for college, we went undefeated and took the state championship.
Wow.
At their,
he didn't have to be a part of it.
Nope, at their AA, so that's a very small. These are small schools, obviously, but they said basketball, he's recruited all over the place, Florida State, Notre Dame, everywhere. He chooses, though, he wants to go to Auburn. Yeah. Where Bob Davis was the coach, and he was
Eagle, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
the coach was a close friend of the principal at Eddie's high school.
Is that right?
Which is how a lot of these things go, especially if with a naive kid, they get kind of pushed by that coach.
Trust me, you'll trust him.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to show you the right guy. These guys, you can't trust them, but, this guy, I'm a friend of his for years, and blah, blah, blah. So Eddie here, this was a different deal for him because it's obviously a bigger school and all that, but still Auburn isn't a big place. It's in a small area. So this is not like he didn't go to school in a big city where he'd be ready for an NBA career.
Yeah, the college is a big college, but it's everything to this town. It's not
exactly. It's one of those. It's not Atlanta,
not Boston College.
No,
right?
It's not Atlanta or anything where he'll end up being here. So he said that all he did still in college was basketball, and everybody said that his self-confidence grew and he got stronger, and he just physically started maturing and all that kind of thing. And even Coach Davis from Auburn said Eddie put our basketball program back on the map.
All right.
Which Charles Barkley ended up going there later on, 1980, I think.
Yeah, he did go to Auburn. You're right.
He went to Auburn.
Yeah.
He said he was responsible for the resurgence of basketball at Auburn. Nobody's better than Eddie, and he was tough. You couldn't hurt him. Besides that, he was a good, sweet, terrific kid. He was a very compassionate young man.
How about this? What the fuck happened?
What? Oh, fame, coke.
Yeah. What the fuck happened, though? If that's what happens when you get famous, I hope to Christ we fail forever, man.
No shit. Good, sweet, terrific kid. Compassionate. Yeah. Remember those quotes for later. Just remember them because it's really disturbing.
Unreal.
That is, wow. The NBA will fuck you up back then.
I guess.
Cocaine really is a hell of a drug. That's Rick James was never more right about that.
He's never been more right about anything.
Never. It really was. So in 73-74 at Auburn, he plays in 26 games and averages 21.8 a game.
Hell yeah.
Point-wise, which is pretty fucking impressive here. 2.9 assists, 4 rebounds even. That's a lot for a freshman. I mean, that's not what you're expecting.
And probably, is he playing point there too? Because that's some point guard.
I don't know
numbers,
if he's got.
You know what I mean?
I think
he must
probably
be
more of a shooting guard. Yeah, because he's only got 2.9 assists.
He's scoring like crazy.
Yeah. Also, while he's here, he begins experimenting with cocaine.
Is that where he did it?
That's where he started. Now,
that's where he got it?
This is in the early days of coke, by the way, which is weird because, as we have done a Patreon about this, coke has had several incarnations in this country.
It's had several moments.
In the late 1800s and early 1900s, it was fucking enormous as just there was advertisements for it. Everybody loved it. It was just this great thing that everybody had. Then they made a law that you could only get it for prescription, and then they outlawed it completely, and it went away. Absolute, like there's still a little bit of it, but in society, pretty much it went away. And then really didn't come back again until the early 70s. And then it was so expensive, it was rare. And then by the 80s, it became, everything. But it's so weird because in the 80s and 70s, people acted like it never happened before. But this is the time where people didn't think it was addictive. That was the draw of cocaine was it's not addictive like heroin or other drugs. Not addictive like pills, they'd say, or all that kind of shit. So people would
probably
take
isn't like that, but it's certainly addictive.
It's addictive as fuck, but for some reason we didn't know it was really addictive. I mean, that was literally the sell of it. Was like, it's really great. You feel good. You can party more. You can do this. It's not even addictive. Oh wow, this is a wonder thing. Why not? Why wouldn't you do it?
I guess it's the people with the problem saying I'm not addicted. So it's not addictive.
And I don't know if too it was so expensive that it would be hard to get a real good addiction going because you could only afford it once in a while, maybe. But
I can't even afford a coke addiction.
Yeah, I can't even afford that. No, but I'm sure there was some rich people who had a fine coke addiction going. You know what I mean?
For sure.
They could afford it if you could afford it. 74-75 season here. Eddie plays in 24 games. He has 20.9 games, or 20.9 points a game, and 5.8 assists now. So he doubled his assist output, which is pretty goddamn good. And Eddie says about cocaine in college, quote, "After I did it once, I really didn't think about it anymore."
Oh?
No, he's like, it was just in his blood at that point, forevermore, itching him from the inside. Yeah. He said, but then I tried it again at another social function. It wasn't something that just came to me in Atlanta. I'd been doing it for some time. What? So he's saying he did it once.
Oh,
wasn't like
at the Hawks. Yeah.
Didn't turn into an immediate coke fiend till the next time he did it. Then he became a coke fiend all the way through. So he said he showed up in Atlanta already doing shitloads of coke. Excellent. This is going to work out great here, obviously. So 75-76 season, he plays in 26 games, 19.7 points, 5.7 assists, 3.9 rebounds a game. He's doing just fucking great. Scoring points, crushing it. 76-77 Auburn, 26 games, 15.6 points, 5.2 rebounds, 2.6 assists. And his sophomore season, they went 18-8. And they had a lot of good players, but didn't quite go as far as they wanted to go here. Eddie, when he was a freshman, he won the Southeastern Conference scoring title.
What?
Yes, and became a really good foul shooter as well. Okay. And was one of the better rebounding guards even. But there's an article in the newspaper back then that said Eddie evidently struggled with the burden of his emotional intensity. Yeah, that's like emotional intensity, meaning like cocaine addiction, I think.
Okay, yeah.
They just didn't know that at the time, so they called it emotional intensity. By his senior year, the coach and the press were talking shit about him.
Oh.
His numbers went down, but he said the coach, Bob Davis, said he criticized Eddie Johnson publicly. And he said that, quote, this is Eddie, he said I didn't want to play, that I had a bad attitude. When things weren't going right, I was the one who would speak out. I felt the things I was saying were to the point and justified my speaking out, but I got ripped up pretty bad for it. Back then in college, the coaches didn't want to hear what the players' opinions were. It wasn't important to them.
You're a kid. Shut the fuck up and do what I tell you to do.
That was back in the day of, coaches just saying, do it because I told you so. That's it.
I drew the play perfectly. You fucked it up.
You fucked it up and don't run it differently. Yeah. So they said that this is from Coach Davis. Eddie's only real problem was that he'd get upset emotionally. That's interesting.
Is it withdrawals?
Who knows? I think it just kind of made, a lot of times Coke just makes your personality kind of flighty if you do it a lot.
It exacerbates your brain to the point of you can't control things.
It's irritating in there.
Yeah.
He said, we had a lot of battles for that reason. I stayed on him pretty tight. I could only control him by publicly criticizing him in the papers, and it made me look like the bad guy. But Eddie could play and not let the fact that I bothered him show. He's the kind of guy who plays better when he's responding to a disciplinarian. Like, I'll show you type of shit. Like, oh, yeah, don't go out and, win and so I get a raise next year. Please don't. Anything but that.
Said I stink. Watch me make your life much better.
Watch me get you 6 figures for a radio show.
Yeah, and a rent-free home.
Oh, that's huge, too. Big Victorian, right in the middle of everything. He said still he had a tendency to go off the deep end. He'd get bottled up inside, and he had to let it out somehow, but he wouldn't talk to anyone, and he wouldn't listen to advice. That's not great for a college player. He said he developed a tendency to pick up the guys who were offbeat. He felt kind of sorry for them, and I'd warn him about being a public figure, but he'd tell me, quote, nobody can pick my friends.
Okay.
Yeah, offbeat, meaning he'd hang out with coke dealers and other people who did coke, and this guy was like, why are you hanging out with campus dirtbags rather than, our all-American fucking small forward who's a nice kid, that kind of shit.
Don't pick my friend's nose.
No, pick my friend's nose. You can pick your nose. You can pick your friends.
Some of my favorite things I ever heard as a kid that
everybody's
so dumb, and I just giggled for years.
Everybody's grandfather told them that. I'm convinced of that because that's who told me that.
I'm still giggling about it at least 30 years later.
It's so fun. 30, it's probably 40 years later.
I think I heard it in my teens though, where I was like,
"What?"
Man. And everybody else, because I didn't have a family, and I had my mom. I didn't have a dad or a grandfather in my life every day, so I didn't get the opportunity to hear unbelievable lines like that.
I wish Eddie would have said that too. Nobody can pick my friends, and nobody can pick my nose. And goddamn it, don't you try to pick my friend's nose, okay?
There's cocaine
snorts
in there.
A line. Yeah, that's right. He said he always reminded me of a country boy who wanted peace, but when he got caught up in things, he really changed his nature. The only thing keeping him from being the superstar of all time is his ability to deal with his emotions.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, is we'll find out is he's got some mental illness that we really didn't touch on very much last time.
Yeah.
No, it's diagnosed.
Now, but back then it
was undiagnosed. Yeah. No, so he's got some, they diagnosed him as bipolar at some point, or manic depressive back then. Oh, yeah, they're going to give him lithium later and all this type of shit.
Oh, Jesus.
So when you add just a fucking monstrous with hair and teeth and nails cocaine addiction into fucking bipolar and all that, you are asking for it's amazing he could fucking get to the court every day. I was going to say the ballpark, but that's not what we're talking about here.
He's self-diagnosed, or he's self-medicating, and he doesn't even know it.
Yeah, no, he doesn't get it at all. He said Eddie wasn't as good as he could have been in his senior year because he was so wound up inside. He was totally involved in basketball. I don't think he went to class after the season was over. Although he could have made straight A's, he knew he was going to play professional basketball. Yeah, he didn't give a fuck about college, which, honestly makes sense if that's you're preparing for your profession.
Yeah.
If he was a mathematician and somebody was trying to recruit him for a job, he wouldn't be like, oh, but I got to go to my lit class. Fuck literature. I got a job.
And no matter who they are, you still look at it and go, that's so short-sighted, because you could be, and this is before the enormous paydays that they get now. But
yeah.
If I'm fucking LeBron James, I don't give a shit about college. No. I'm going to make $1 billion.
Yeah.
I'm not going to need anything to fall back on.
Let's hope I don't. If I piss away $150 million,
I still got 850 to go.
You know, college isn't going to help me at that point. I got bigger fucking problems. I've been doing things way wrong.
What did? Yeah.
Oh, good. Now I'll go get a job making $68,000 a year, being a middle manager. Terrific, because I lost my $150 million. So I got my fucking liberal arts, bachelor degree for fucking 4 years.
Even if you got a 13-year career where you make $78 million, you don't need a day job. You're going to be all right. As long as you are not a fucking moron. Unfortunately, on this show, there's a lot of fucking morons.
How many people have we talked about that
so many.
had $100 million and then had nothing?
So many.
So many. So, yeah, he didn't do much in class, and he didn't get his degree either because he was worried about school. He said he didn't go back to another class again after the season was over. Didn't give a shit. And also, that's when it's party time, as we'll find out. Every time the season's over, Eddie just goes off the rails.
It's a good time now.
And I wonder how much of this, too, was possibly when he's diagnosed as a manic depressive, this is in the midst of him being heavily involved in coke for years.
Right.
So who even knows if he actually is bipolar or if he's just he's on coke all the time and his chemistry's all fucked up from it, and that's made him, have the symptoms of being bipolar or whatever the fuck. We have no idea. So 1977, he is eligible for the draft.
Hell yeah.
He goes to college for all 4 years. June 10th, 1977. This is in New York City. And number 1 overall pick, 1977, Jimmie. Who is it? I'll give you a hint. Milwaukee has the pick. That won't help at all.
Milwaukee? Jeez, I mean,
who did the Milwaukee Bucks pick in 1977?
Tree Rollins? I don't know.
It is Kent Benson.
Jesus,
Kent Benson, who played 11 years in the league.
Really?
Went to Indiana. Yeah, he played a lot of games.
What did he make?
680 games.
Uh-huh.
Only 9.1 points, 5.7 rebounds. So a bench guy, a bench forward, it looks
grand.
like. Number 2 overall, Otis Birdsong to the Knicks.
Oh, okay.
Now, Otis Birdsong was a good player, and he is, for some reason, I heard this from somebody, that somebody in Pearl Jam, whenever they were in a hotel, that was their alias, was Otis Birdsong, because he's a big basketball fan. So I thought that was cool.
I'm going to start going by Otis Thorpe.
You should. I'll go by Dale Davis, and we'll block a lot of
Thorpe
shots.
And Dale Davis checking in?
Yeah, that'll be perfect. Wow, look at you guys. You're smaller and whiter than I imagine.
Have you ever heard of the Rocket? I've heard of him.
Yeah, we know. Marquez Johnson from UCLA, Greg Ballard. These are all guys who played over 10 years in the league, too. Walter Davis with the Suns.
Wow.
I think they retired his number, didn't they?
Isn't
his number up?
Yeah, with Dick Van Arsdale. He might be up there in the rafters.
Kenny Carr to the Lakers. And then number 7 overall, a Crime and Sports alumni.
Hey.
And one of the most fun episodes I remember, Bernard King, number 7 from Tennessee.
Old Brownsville bomber himself.
That's right. He was fucking passed out at a coke spot in his fucking brand new car. I love that so much. Jack Sikma to Seattle. Tom Lagarde, Ray Williams, Ernie Grunfeld, Cedric Maxwell. You're going to love this, by the way. 14 overall, Tree Rollins. So he was taking that draft.
Get the fuck out of here. I missed by 13.
You were 14 or 13 picks off. But I knew that was coming, too, and I was like, nope, not Tree Rollins. I didn't want to say it.
Unbelievable.
How amazing is that?
13 spots.
So fucking close. Oh, my God. I'm like, oh, my God, that is the right draft.
Was he by the Rockets?
You were just thinking Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
You were just thinking oldest guy you could think of.
Yeah. I was thinking of guy in the 80s that probably was drafted a long time ago.
Yeah. Guy in the 90s who was super old. Ernie Grunfeld, that draft too. Ricky Green, Rich Laurel, Glenn Mosley. This is the first round. Norm Nixon by the Lakers, number 22 there. So that's the first round. So no Eddie in the first round.
No kidding.
So, yeah, Eddie's got to be slightly disappointed in that. We go through the second round, and there's some guys who didn't even play in the league here. You got guys like Mike Glenn, who played 10 years. You got Ben Poquette, played 10 years, a couple guys like that. All the way down to the third round, which doesn't even exist now, by the way.
Oh, no.
James Edwards from the Lakers ended up playing 19 years, so he's in there. Not bad. Then, finally, at number 49 overall. That's the other thing. There's only 22 teams. So 49 would still be in the second round now. That'd be late, mid to late second round. But back then, that was the third round. Atlanta chooses Eddie Johnson here.
Third round.
So that doesn't get you a guaranteed contract. No. That means you got to hustle to make the team.
Yeah.
So that's, that's a little bit rough.
Tree Rollins, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, and nobody else really in the draft of any. He's the guy. Nobody that's drafted after him plays as long as him.
Wow.
So he's the last, 10-year guy in the draft, essentially, here. So I'm going to say it right now. Grace. That's grace.
That's a big day. Yeah.
This is grace for Eddie. Yeah. He made it through college. He learned how to do coke.
Yeah.
That's a big skill you got to learn.
Certainly,
you learn a couple of things.
That's interesting, too, because the two places that he's played now, high school and college, he stirs the tide enough to cause a wave big enough for other big players to come here and win. Barkley goes to Auburn after that.
Yes, exactly.
His high school team wins after he leaves. He's a big deal for creating a culture of winning. Yeah.
And now he's going to Atlanta, which was just a graveyard of a team back then. That was
stinker. Yeah.
They were garbage. I think they had moved here from St. Louis a few years before. They were the St. Louis Hawks, I think, before that. Not great at all. And this is, I think, when Ted Turner bought the team, too.
Okay.
When he had the Hawks and he bought the Braves just to have programming for TBS, basically. So the Hawks here, they're 41-41 this year.
What year is this?
This is 77-78.
That's wow. Yeah, he turns the tide everywhere he fucking goes.
He does. And now Hubie Brown is the coach, who is a very well-known coach. Who we used to
fascinating looking man
who looked like my great grandmother. One of those. My cousin Ian and I would call her Big Nan. Would call him Big Nan all the time. There's Big Nan. There he is.
One of the ugliest men that was representing the NBA ever.
Yeah.
Not a good looking man.
Yeah, whereas she was an 85-year-old woman at the time, so this wasn't a compliment for a 53-year-old head coach.
Yeah,
at all.
And then
just the white hair with the mainly.
Yeah. Then the Hawks love that look because they also got Lenny. What was his name?
Lenny Wilkins.
The black guy that looks just like him.
Great basketball player and the white version of Hubie Brooks. That's exactly what he is. Both of them
looks just like him.
Great coaching records. Lenny Wilkins was a hell of a fucking player too. Really great player from the ABA and shit. He was nasty. Now, the Hawks this year lose in the first round of the playoffs, but 500 gets them into the playoffs, and they get swept by the Bullets here. On this team, John Drew is on this team. Well, I think he's one of the guys we're going to do an episode about. A lot of coke with that guy.
Oh,
so he's in there. Eddie Johnson, Tree Rollins, of course, on the team.
What?
He's
great.
Atlanta, there he is. He didn't start right away, but they said they knew Hubie Brown said they knew he was going to be a star right away.
Yeah.
They knew they got a steal in the third round with this guy.
Yeah.
He said he was one of the few guys I've ever coached who could really turn you on.
Hubie.
Just a big, that really, I'm going to watch old footage now for the fucking erection in Hubie's pants as Eddie dribbles up the court. He's like, everybody else hard as a rock? Everybody on the bench hard, huh?
Fuck it. I just came.
Radio guy, you hard? I'm hard, right? Yeah. This is making me hard.
I got a white cloud on my head and in my pants.
And in my pants. He said, I got to take care of this at halftime. This is I'll bust one out real quick. He said he could do everything. From the first day, you could see he possessed incredible athletic talent. He was killing people in practice. He could not only make the big play, he could create it. So he could create plays for other people. He could make his own shot off the dribble. And, these are big skills, especially in the 70s. Yeah. So hot shit here. This year, he plays shooting guard, by the way. He does play the two. 79 games at the two. 23 and a half minutes a game. So they're about, he's a halftime player. 10.5 points a game, 3 assists, almost 2 rebounds.
Not bad.
Not bad. They're integrating him slowly
Great guy
here.
Coming off the bench. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, not bad. In the playoffs, he had 15.5 points per game, but that's only in 2 games.
They made the playoffs.
Yeah, they lost to the Bullets there. 78-79, Hubie Brown again. This year, 46-36.
Jesus.
That's not bad. Yeah, they go to the playoffs, and they win in the first round, sweeping the Rockets here, which the Rockets and the Hawks were playing each other in the same.
Yeah, that's
not
confusing.
right. That's not right?
Somebody wear a bright white jersey, please.
Well, this is also before East and West, obviously.
Right.
Back
in the
before they
playoffs.
split it to that.
Right.
Yeah. And then they lose to Washington in 7 games that year.
The Bullets got him again.
So that is this is like the Wes Unseld Bullets too, like the old school Bullets.
Was he playing for them?
Who? Wes Unseld? Yeah. That's who he used to play for.
He
back
coached
then.
him too, right? Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember if he coached him or not.
Coached Denver too.
So
I think he coached him.
Yeah, I know he was a coach, but now they said that in the spring of '79. So this is end of his second pro season.
Right.
Apparently, Auburn set aside a day to honor him.
Okay.
And invited him, Hubie Brown, and his Hawks teammate Armand Hill for a day of ceremonies at Auburn. And, there was a banquet in the evening. And this is just Eddie Johnson Day. Let's celebrate him. Yeah. He's boosted the program. At the end, they have a big dinner and a banquet. And it's like, black tie, and they're at the big dais up there, like it's a fucking, like it's a Dean Martin roast or some shit.
Big piece of medium rare meat with some gravy on it.
You wish was medium rare, medium well banquet meat, held in a steam tray for a long time. Yeah,
there's some soft peas by it.
If you're ever eating food for more than 6 people around you, it's going to be terrible, no matter who prepares it, because it's going to be done
nice
assembly
in those
line
chrome
style.
Dishes, but it's fucking gross.
Half of it was made an hour ago. It's a piece of shit. You don't want that. All weddings, it's all bad all the time.
Yeah.
So apparently Eddie sat at the dais slumped forward in his seat.
Stop it.
Yeah, no, he's nodding off at the dinner, which is to honor him for being such a great guy. During a speech that was largely a tribute to him as well. Just this guy here, and he's just passing out in his fucking mashed potatoes.
Just soft peas on his
I was
forehead.
going to say popping up with peas stuck in the mashed potatoes, like a carrot circle over here, like, huh? So,
me?
Yeah, and they said that Hubie Brown said Eddie is going to have, after all this, he said Eddie is going to have to decide between his social life and his occupation.
Oh, boy.
You can't be a huge party and coke guy and a top player.
Right.
You could maybe do it for a little while, but not for very long.
Yeah, you get your pick. You do one or the other.
Not going to work. He said he has the tools to be one of the greatest players in the league. The only person standing in his way is Eddie Johnson. That's it. Yeah. No one else can. So this year he plays 30.9 minutes a game now. So they upped his minutes big time. 16 points a game, 4.6 assists, 1.6 steals too. So doing pretty well, actually. Not too shabby at all. And he averages 16.5 in the playoffs, so pretty much the same average. 79-80 season. This is when it really
ramped up.
80 is when the wheels are just like greased up, and we're going way too fast, and they're coming off this cart. So 79-80. All right. They finished 50-32.
Hell yes.
So that's a big improvement. First in the NBA Central Division at the time.
Wow.
So not bad at all. Then they lose to the Philadelphia 76ers in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah. That hurts,
tough.
though. Win 50 games to get
50.
bounced in the first round?
That's tough. Yeah, at least it was against a good team, but still, it doesn't matter. You wanted to go farther than that here.
Sure.
But either way, Eddie, though, that year, he 18.5 points a game. So up even more now. So they're giving him more time, 33.2 minutes per game, and he is giving the stats right back to the minutes. So March 25th, 1980. There's an article. It's a wonderful fluff piece in the Birmingham Post-Herald. Yeah. And it says, Fast Eddie Johnson finds stardom in Atlanta. So in this article here of him finding stardom in Atlanta,
hell yeah,
they're saying that in the third round, people occasionally make it, but rarely do they make it big. That's the beginning of this article. Yeah. Eddie Johnson of the Hawks is one of the exceptions. Eddie picked 49th in 77, not only made the Atlanta Hawks in his first year out of Auburn, but was elected to the starting squad of the Eastern Conference All-Stars this season. He's a fucking All-Star.
Wow.
Yes, he's also second in the Defensive Player of the Year voting as well.
Is that right?
He's a very good defender. So
behind who, does it say?
I don't know who it was then, no. They said Eddie Johnson can be an all-star in this league for 10 years, Hubie Brown said. The only guy who can stop that is Eddie himself.
You bet.
There's a hint for you.
He loves to tell him.
He's throwing out breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Don't fuck up.
Just so everybody knows, he's going to get in his own way.
He's going to fuck this up. I'm telling you. He doesn't have to, but he will. That's the thing. He's got everything he could want, and he's going to throw it in the garbage. So be prepared.
He knows.
He knows. Oh, he knows. He saw when your dude is slumped over in his fucking peas at the dais of an award thing, a banquet honoring him. You'd think, like, ego-wise, he'd want to hear these speeches just for his ego, but he's just so fucked up.
Verbally blow him,
Yeah, he's more of a drug addict than an egomaniac, which is a problem in the NBA. Much rather have an egomaniac.
Wouldn't it be crazy to see Tom Brady at his roast just slumped over?
That would have been great.
Fucking...
That would have been fucking hilarious. Although it would have been good for me if he had like a stroke or something and they just had to revive him.
How amazing would that have been? Or any of those fuckers getting roasted, just sitting there slumped over.
That's what I mean. You never see it. And they used to be hammered back in the day.
Yeah.
Watch like an old fucking, one of those old roasts, like Henny Youngman on them. Yeah, the Friars Club roast from like the 60s and 70s. Those guys were fucking drinking booze as it was going on. Yeah, just drinking and smoking.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them. Or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer. I can really show you how to make some money. And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
Behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories. 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
So they said Eddie is a team leader now and a crowd favorite. They love him.
Wow.
He's entertaining to watch.
Sure.
So Eddie said, I attribute it all to a lot of hard work. Hubie has gotten the maximum out of the talent I have. He told me I could be a good player in this league and also instilled a lot of confidence in me. He says, I know I have a long way to go, but there's no telling how far I can go.
Wow,
that's the thing. I can do it. He said, making the All-Star team made me realize I've got to play every night to get the recognition. I'm really just trying to give my best effort to perform and produce every night. If I do that, I can feel satisfied.
Imagine having that optimism about yourself.
Man, I know I'm going to be so great.
Yeah.
Imagine that. I'm going to be so great. Isn't this awesome? Watch me blossom into greatness. Watch this. Watch. I'm going to do it now.
People tell him all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, we get messages. People tell us all the time about whatever. But I'll never believe it. He's believing it. He's eating it with a spoon and knife.
Well, I mean, fuck, it's in the newspaper here. He finds stardom, but he's like, I mean, Hubie's telling me, I'm listening. Yeah. Hubie said he's worked very hard. He's come a long way. He's truly an all-star player and just having a heck of a season.
Yeah.
He said Johnson had all the tools coming out of college, and he said on the negative side, he was a little wild, but his pluses were that he was extremely coachable and has an excellent, fun-loving approach to life. Fun-loving, with Coke around his nostrils. That's fun-loving. Yeah.
Very coachable.
Real coachable. Now you're talking about a guy who averages in double figures and shoots 48 to 50% from the field and 80% or better at free throws. Because of his explosiveness and ability to make the pass, he creates many situations. And, he said that he was one of the player of the week that week and everything like that. By the way, he lost out in one of the player of the weeks to rookie Billy Ray Bates.
Oh, no shit.
Yes, another Crime and Sports alumni. Yeah, Black Superman himself in the Philippines there. So, this year, Eddie has a great year, obviously. And he problem is, in June of this year, he's going to have a little issue. And then in July, he's going to have a little issue. And then in August, he's going to have a little issue.
What about September?
Basically, I think he has a little issue. Going out on a limb here, just like Eddie went out on a limb when in June he's in College Park, Georgia, and he is fleeing gunmen. He does an Omar here, basically. Yeah. Remember when Omar went into that apartment and had to jump off like the 8th story?
Right.
Well, this isn't the 8th story, but this is what happened here to Fast Eddie. Fast Eddie has to jump out of the 2nd story of an apartment house off the balcony and then is chased across a parking lot. Lucky he's fast. You know what I mean? Chased across a parking lot while 2 men are firing shots at him.
They're trying to hit him.
Trying to murder him. Yeah,
he's
actually
zigzagging across the parking lot.
He's fucking running cone drills because these guys are going to blow his brains out otherwise. Wow. And he is so fast it helped out a lot. Otherwise, he'd be dead. He ended up hailing down a police car and saying, these guys trying to kill him. The police car made the guy stop trying to shoot him, which helped a lot.
Yeah.
He said when asked about it, he was, quote, just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
I'm here and there's guns going off.
He said, I was at these chicks' house. Okay, well, right there.
Yeah, these chicks.
And these guys busted in the door. I didn't know what was going on. I was just there. Then they started shooting at me.
Okay.
I think he's leaving out a couple parts of the story.
Yeah. Who are they? Why are you there?
Why are you there? Who are they? Or is this are you there to buy drugs? Are you there to do drugs? Are these guys dealers you stiffed?
Prostitutes and those are pimps and you didn't pay?
There's a lot
of
I have a lot of questions over this, but he says
the commerce that you were purchasing?
Really, wrong place at the wrong time could be said about anything.
Yeah.
I mean, Ted Bundy was in the wrong place at the wrong time when he was murdering people. If he was somewhere else, he wouldn't have murdered that girl. That's how it works every time, right?
Every time I've ever been in a car accident, it was the wrong place.
Wrong place. Wrong time. There's got to be more to the story because both of us, we've both, been around drugs and people that do drugs, and we've hung out with a lot of weird people. And between us, we have plenty of experience of being in weird situations.
Yeah.
Have you ever had to flee from the 2nd story balcony while people shot guns at you? Has that ever come up? Not yet, exactly.
That's a new one.
That's a new one. Yeah. And this guy's at 24 at this point. It's already happening. I feel like you got to, that's part you at that point, right? It's kind of on you a little bit. So according to the detective sergeant who handled the case for the College Park Police Department, the 2 women had convictions for prostitution.
Oh, hey.
And the man who had been in the apartment at the time was a convicted pimp. So I think Eddie tried to charm some prostitutes into
doing something for free.
Or he said, I'll get you high. And then the pimp said, I don't get a piece of that.
We take cash around here.
Yeah. The detective said he, meaning the pimp, they interviewed, the detectives had an NBA player, 2 prostitutes, and a pimp, and they had them all in separate rooms, and they were discussing the problems with each of them, which is hilarious as far as the scenario goes.
Yeah.
You just want the bird's eye view of that with no roof, so you can look in each room as it happens.
And a speaker for each room.
I want to know it all. This detective sergeant said, the pimp told us that Eddie had ripped off some drug dealers and apparently had beaten up the women who had delivered the drugs.
Oh, my.
Edward.
Why would you do that?
Eddie. Jesus Christ, Eddie. Then these 2 guys came looking for Eddie, as they would have want to do. Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah. That's pretty standard in a drug ripoff. Yeah, you can't. Avon looked for Omar for years. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just fucking expect that's going to happen.
Everybody had meetings about where's this motherfucker
Where is
at?
he? Yeah.
How can we touch him?
It's what it's all about. He's got to pop his head up somewhere. And then next thing you know, his grandma's church crown gets shot off. This is what happens. This is the madness.
Sunday.
On a Sunday. We're ignoring the truce. So 2 men were arrested on allegations of aggravated assault, but Eddie wouldn't press charges on them.
No, because
he said, "What? Can't. It's all in the game, baby." That's what he said. There's nothing else you could say to it.
That's
what
part
happens.
of this.
Ripping off drug dealers and smacking around prostitutes. Something bad's going to happen to you, man.
Sometimes somebody gets slapped.
The cop said that during this whole investigation, Eddie offered no help and, in fact, quote, lied to us repeatedly.
I believe that. Yeah.
That I believe. Now, Eddie denies all of these statements. None of that's true, he says. That's all false. And they said, why didn't you press charges, is what the press said. If none of that's true, why didn't you press charges? You know what Eddie's answer is?
They got guns.
He literally shrugged.
He just shrugged?
Shrugged like an 8-year-old.
Yeah. Can you do that? I don't know.
I guess so. Yeah. Why'd you mess up the rug? I don't know. He said, I just went to the basic rule of survival. Keep your nose out of it. You don't go swimming in deep water if you're already having trouble walking in the shallow water. Yeah, don't rip off coke dealers and beat up prostitutes. Consequences.
That's a weird simile. That's not the same, is it?
That's very odd. No, deep. If you're walking in the shallow, can you swim at all? That's the thing.
Is pressing charges swimming? Is that what it is?
I think he's talking about, if you're going to be mixed up with these people and you press charges, then they're really going to be mad at you. Not like if you beat up their women and steal their cocaine, they'll really be pissed off if you press charges.
That water's choppy.
Yeah. I think, too, if you don't press charges, you might still be able to buy coke from them later.
Maybe.
We might be able to put this all behind us if I buy enough coke from you, probably, right?
Or they won't tell the other drug dealers so that I can get coke from them.
Eddie hates to lose a connection. That's the thing. He really does. So you got to have all the coke dealers you want at that time, or else you're in trouble. So then July 15th, 1980, he's arrested again.
For what?
I'm going to give you 10 guesses, and one of them is going to be cocaine. Let's just say that.
He's got 10 charges?
He is charged with possessing cocaine, driving under the influence, and driving without a valid driver's license, which I don't think he'll ever have again because he's constantly arrested. He was returned to jail on pending a bond of $25,000 on the cocaine charge. He was arrested on a Sunday night by Fulton County Police, spent the night in jail after failing to post a preliminary bond of $3,000. And, they said, the defense attorney said, quote, the only comment I would make now is that we're very concerned about Eddie Johnson. He's a very troubled young man. That's July 15th.
This is the first time he's been arrested.
The same newspaper on March 25th.
Yeah.
He's a star and everything's wonderful. 4 months later, he's obviously a very troubled young man. This is wild. A wild swing of emotions here.
That was fast.
That was so fucking fast, dude. How'd that happen so goddamn fast? He's arrested at 7:30 p.m., not even the middle of the night.
Yeah.
While driving a rental car.
Early evening. How'd he get the rental?
No driver.
He rented it.
He plays for the Hawks. They probably just gave it to him. Back then, it didn't matter.
Gave him a jersey and walked
out. There you go. Tickets to the game, maybe, some shit like that here. So that's pretty fucking funny. He was caught with 40 grams of coke, by the way.
That's a good amount.
And they say it's diluted, so I think that means it's just stepped on a lot. Yeah, he's got some shitty stepped on coke, which is what he gets now. Yeah,
the good coke is from the other people that are mad at him.
No shit. One of the team officials said, at the time, we thought Eddie had a drug problem. We didn't realize he had a manic depressive problem.
Oh,
because now they're going to find this out.
Is that what it is?
Well, they find that out because when they get him to the police station with his 40 grams of coke, he, quote, behaved erratically, cursing at the lawyer and the judge.
What did he say to the judge?
That's why he was held. Just cursed at him. Fuck you. I don't need this shit. You can't do that.
No.
You got to know that that's not going to work.
This is his first arrest. Be apologetic, man.
Yeah. Oh, I fucked up. My bad. Especially because this is going to be in the newspaper and everything else. The district attorney who's prosecuting the case said, quote, he was under the influence of something and he was sort of out of it. That's why they held him, because they were like, he's all fucked up in court.
He's got 40 grams, but there's also a couple in him.
That's the issue. Now, a couple days later on the arrest, the general manager of the Hawks said, I don't want to minimize the problem. However, many of today's athletes would have them on some small many of today's athletes would have on them some small quantity of cocaine if they were picked up at any time. He's basically saying, look, everybody's doing a little bit of coke. That's how crazy 1980 was. You get busted and your boss goes, I mean, if you searched everyone in the office, there's 90% of them probably have cocaine on them. Let's be honest here. There's blow in the house is all I'm saying. He also said that also applies to leading businessmen and cuts throughout all of society.
Yeah. There's a bunch of straws in here made out of Washingtons. Calm down.
It's so fucking true, though. Back then, it was very people would do coke at their tables in restaurants. They would. It was so fucking casual. It was accepted in business. It was accepted. Like, if you weren't doing coke, you weren't trying. Right. That's what it was. It was like, you weren't, what are you doing?
Fuck.
Yeah, get some energy to, push these stocks and all that. How are you not doing coke? This guy obviously doesn't want it that bad. That's how they look at it back then. Like baseball players with greenies back in the day. If you didn't pop greenies, they were like, what are you, lazy? You don't want to do amphetamines?
Minors.
Yeah, what the fuck, man? So that's what the general manager says, which is the most silver statement you've ever heard. Who doesn't have coke?
Imagine that being said today. Imagine it.
To me, what all of I get out of that is I also do coke. That's what that says to me. I also do coke, and
don't look in my pockets.
I might get pulled over one of these days, is all I'm saying. So I don't want to be too hypocritical and come down a little too hard on him.
I don't want to rail on him too hard because I'm probably going to get caught with a few rails on my pocket.
Let's be realistic here. Could happen to anybody, if you know what I mean. Here's what he said. Could happen to anybody. Just saying. Keep that in mind later on.
Might be some residue on my dash.
Jesus Christ. So he said, the GM said that he wasn't surprised that he received many critical calls from people who didn't believe the problem was that widespread after he said that. People were like, that's crazy. There were some people who just were totally naive and ignorant to it and didn't know that everybody was on coke in 1980. Eddie denies that he's on drugs. I only had a bunch of drugs and was obviously under the influence of them in court. That's all.
Several 8-balls, man. Like he had a lot.
That's all. Yeah, that's all it is, though. Just I don't do drugs, though. Yeah, it's crazy. He said he's happy to undergo treatment, though, for his emotional problems, not for drug problems. I need emotional help here, and they said, this is fucking from the newspaper, quote, I want to commend Caston, the general manager, and the Hawk organization for this manner in which they have handled the Johnson case. They want Johnson to resolve his problems and return to the team next season physically and mentally ready to play basketball and live a happy life. That is what his family and all of his friends want. Professional sports operators are aware of the drug menace.
Oh, menace.
The drug menace. But they frankly admit there's no way they can police an entire team. The league sends doctors and other experts to warn players of the dangers involved with drugs, from pet pills to hard drugs, but it probably would make much more impact if some of the athletes who have been there and been rehabilitated toward the camps. Players understand players much clearer than they do doctors. Okay, this is before there was drug testing in the sports, number one. And people are going, why don't they just test them? Because you couldn't do that. That was a big fight with the union to get them to be able to do that. And the other problem here is that back then the players that were doing drugs, if you sent another player in, they'd just be like, oh, what the fuck is his problem? Everybody, I do drugs and I'm fine. Everybody I know does drugs and it's fine. There wasn't enough people who crashed and burned at that point in a spectacular fashion. You know what I mean? Like John Belushi dying got a lot of people in Hollywood to stop doing drugs. Sure. Scared the shit out of them. It really did. Not all of them, obviously, but a lot of people went, holy fuck, I can't be doing that anymore.
And even his friends certainly stopped for a little bit.
They at least stopped like touting it as a cool thing to do. You know what I mean?
They sobered up to go to a funeral.
And so that's kind of how that would work. But in basketball, and nobody had really hit rock bottom to see that yet. There's a million examples of guys, but back then there wasn't any. But it's hard to tell a 21-year-old or 23-year-old with a 40-inch vertical leap and a shitload of money in his bank account that this is going to ruin you. Yeah. When all it seems to do is get me pussy. You know what I mean?
Seems to be a lot of smiling.
It just seems to get my dick sucked a lot. This is crazy. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, because Don Newcomb, they talked about, who was the former Dodgers star, he went to several major league teams to talk to them about alcoholism because he drank himself out of the league. Right. And he was a good player. But this article goes on to say, whatever Eddie Johnson's problems are, I'm sure he could render some helpful advice to fellow players and youngsters once he's recovered.
Oh.
He's good now. Once he gets out of rehab, that was the other thing. Back then, people thought rehab was magical. And if you went to rehab, that meant it was like going in.
Over. Yeah, you fixed it.
It was like going in to fix a physical ailment. You went in to get your arm stitched up, and now it's good. It was all healed up. No problems. So they said that, athletes are big names, and big news and publicity is a part of the price they pay for the fame. That's what they say. Now, 3 weeks later, this is only 3 weeks after the incident, jumping off the balcony, getting shot at, and all that kind of shit. So they said when he got arrested for that incident, they decided, the Hawks and his defense attorney decided to keep him in jail overnight to protect him from himself. That's why nobody paid his bail.
Okay, teach him a lesson.
He said when he's like that, putting him out where he couldn't receive protection would have been the most inhumane thing I could have done to Eddie. Because he would have went right back on the street and got more shit. Right. So not good. While Eddie was in jail, that was when he was seen by an Atlanta psychiatrist. And after that, Eddie will work with this person for the next year, this psychiatrist. Okay. And that was when this psychiatrist recommended that Eddie be moved from his cell to a private psychiatric facility near Cobb County, Georgia, where he underwent therapy for a week.
Really?
So they pulled him out of there, put him in like hardcore overnight fucking sleepover therapy.
Yeah, inpatient therapy.
The day after, the day after he checked himself out of this place, which by the way was against the wishes of everybody he knew.
Sure, of course.
He is arrested again, as we'll talk about. He's arrested for he did. He stole a Porsche from a car dealer. That's the only way to put it.
From the dealer.
You can't do that. They notice when a Porsche is gone, usually.
Yeah, they got a VIN number, yeah.
Johnson said, the guy thought I was going to buy a car. He let me test drive it, and I stayed a little longer than usual.
How long? Yeah.
He just took it and started doing the shit he normally does and went and got Coke and hung out, and they were like, where the fuck is this Porsche?
Put some miles on it.
You can't fucking do that. It was a 1980 Porsche 911E. By the way, $34,000 is all it was.
Yeah, today they're worth a lot more than that, too.
I would say so.
Those have gone up in value. Those
it's
are
a
good
sweet
cars.
ride right there.
Yeah.
Those fucking 911s are hot shit, those early 80s Porsches. Mm-hmm. So and the 70s ones, too. The warrant here was filed by Luxury Auto Rentals, alleging he stole it. So the car was recovered here, and it was Eddie Johnson who took it. He was held by the Atlanta police that night because he was arrested nearby the car, by the way. Mm-hmm. He didn't ditch it. He was just getting a fucking drink, left it parked outside. Charged with felony motor vehicle theft rather than the lesser charge of automobile theft because of the value of the car.
Right.
An employee of the agency, the rental agency, said Eddie told the workers he was interested in buying a new car and was directed to the Porsche, which was for sale. They're like, what about this one? Yeah. So this guy says he got in it to look at it, started it up, and just took off. He didn't do any of the fucking anything. He was just like, yeah, this is nice. What's it sound like? sweet. So first is here. Yeah, I like the clutch on this. And he's fucking gone. That's it. And they're like, well, he'll come right back, right? He's probably just going around the block.
I mean, plausible deniability. No. He could just tell them, yeah, I thought they were doing all the paperwork. I just expected to get a bill.
I thought they'd bill me. Yeah, like, they just send me a bill. Thought it was like you ate first and then they just put it down at the end. So, yeah. He's arrested. This was, I believe, the 25th of July. On July 13th, he'd been arrested for for coke and all that kind of thing, like we said. And he was released and underwent the psychiatric shit and then got out and did this, which is fucking amazing. He had become, earlier in the day, he became embroiled in a dispute with a woman realtor over $1,000 cash down payment that he made on a house in Atlanta.
Yeah. I mean, I thought they were going to bill me. He could just be saying that.
I think he's just showing. He gave her $1,000. He thought that the payment gave him the right to occupy the premises, even though that he hadn't closed on the property or anything. He went to a real estate agent, put $1,000 in her hand, and just started moving shit in from the back of his stolen rental car.
Parked his Porsche in the driveway.
That's exactly what he did. How crazy is that?
That's awesome.
That's awesome. That's coke hubris right there. Yeah. Think about that.
You could just claim naivete. I don't know.
I don't know how things work.
I don't know.
Yes, I did go to college for 4 years, but still, I'm dumb. I don't know what to tell you.
I didn't get a degree.
It's fucking incredible that in the same day, he's like, I got to get a car and a place to live. That's very coke, so I got to have it right now. Right now. Here's $1,000. I can move my stuff in. Right, I'm going to move my stuff in. Okay, cool. I'm going to get, you know what? I like those Porsches. They look really cool. I'm going to go get a Porsche. I'm going to get one of those. Okay, cool. I'm going to bring it to the house now. Arrested.
I can't believe it was $34,000. That's
30. That's... Yeah, I'd love it.
That's pretty steep, though. But that's a great price for that car.
Fuck yeah! If you could get a new 911 for $34,000 right now, that'd be crazy.
They're like $190,000.
Yeah, they're really fucking expensive. I haven't even looked at them, but I'm sure they're very expensive.
It's almost $200,000 for that car now.
But you know what? Now it's so ridiculous because I was talking to somebody, and somebody I like very much, by the way, a relative here. I won't say who it is, but they were telling me about how this truck they like, and it's $125,000.
Yeah.
And it's a fucking truck.
It's a pickup truck. Yeah.
It's a truck. He's like, you got one like 3 years old, though, for like $90,000 or something. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You can get a fucking... what? The fuck
you used to buy a house for that.
You used to buy a house for that, or you used to buy like an insane car. It was $100,000, a supercar, not a fucking pickup truck. And it's a fast, nice truck and all that kind of shit. But are you joking? 100 fuck. What?
Is it the Dodge TRX? Is that what you were talking about?
It's a Dodge, yeah. So
the TRX. It's a sick
truck. What the fuck are we talking about, though?
$125,000. Though. Everything is like that. Yeah. Every vehicle now is that. The Escalade is almost $200,000 now.
That's insane.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, but you can still get a Porsche for $110,000. So what's happening?
So what are we doing?
What are we doing here? We're fucking up as a society.
Something's wrong. Yeah.
So meanwhile, while all this, someone at the Omni, a member of this building security staff, they think, called the police and told them that Eddie might have a gun. This is all the same day, by the way. All the same day. Which he admits at one time he had a 9mm, and he says about having the gun, quote, I thought I was one of the untouchables.
I think he means Elliot Ness?
I think he means that both in the Elliot Ness sense and in the sense that no one will arrest him because he's on the Hawks. So the police stopped the car that day. This is an eventful day from a man here. This is wild. Only coke will make you do this much in a day.
Stole a house and a car and get arrested.
Otherwise, any one of these events would make you just go home and relax the rest of the night. I got to go home now. This is crazy. Well, then again, he tried to go home. So the police stopped the car, made Eddie get out, and drew their guns as they arrested him.
Yeah.
They took him to jail where he remained for 3 days. Wow. Johnson insisted that if there were drugs in the car, they are not mine. Must belong to those crazy people at the rental agency. I'm sure they keep drugs in the car. They store it in there. Wow. The charges ended up being dropped because the search of the car had been illegal. Either the police didn't notice the gun or it wasn't in his possession. So they couldn't find the gun. So his defense in the pending trial will rest heavily on his lawyer's contention that the cocaine found by police was uncovered in a search. That's an illegal search. That's his first arrest there. His lawyers say that Eddie didn't know any of the drugs were in the trunk.
None of them.
No, and they said that his uncharacteristic belligerence during all of this were explained away by a diagnosis of him being a manic depressive, which is bipolar now. And
what's in there? It's not even his car.
I don't know anything. Plus, I'm all fucked up in the head. What do I know?
Right.
Yeah, I got
Who
stuff going
opens
on
the
in there,
trunk of the car? Come on.
That's yours. Obviously, people just come by, they put stuff in your trunk, and then you drive around with it. Like, who doesn't do that? So, yeah, he's all the psychiatric shit here. So when he was released, it was the next day that all this happened. So he's checked himself out of the psychiatric place, and the next day, car rental, got a gun, fucking stealing a house and a car.
That therapy didn't work at all.
That didn't work. It made him fucking just want more. It made him pine for this shit.
Yeah.
Ted Turner, the Hawks owner, was quoted in the newspapers saying, quote, "It's not Eddie, it's that stuff." That stuff, that white stuff. Yeah. He said, "It's not Eddie, it's that stuff. The last time I saw him, he was fine, old, fast Eddie. He got on that hyped up cocaine. That hyped up cocaine." I want to see Ted Turner say that. It's not Eddie, it's that stuff. Last time I saw him, he was fine, old, fast Eddie. He got on that hyped up cocaine.
That shit from that Clapton song.
Yeah, he's on the cocaine. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That damn Grateful Dead shit that they talked about there. So, Ted Turner likes the Grateful Dead, I think, too.
You think so?
Yeah. Ted Turner's a huge pothead. Always been a huge weed guy. Yes.
Really?
Everybody says, like, a lot of his business transactions, like if he knows the person, to seal the deal, you got to go in his office and smoke a bowl out of his corncob pipe with him. Seriously.
Out of a hillbilly pipe. I like it.
Because that's who he is.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. He's an interesting guy, Ted Turner. Man. So the Hawks discouraged some efforts to try to provide bail during the first time because they said, we wanted to solve Eddie's problem in the long run. We wanted to treat him as if he were our brother. We had to keep him confined to help him. And that's when he was sent to the hospital, like we said. The psychiatrist said, quote, "It took a couple of days for him to stop being so belligerent, so hyper. It took days for him to get the coke. That's how much coke he was on."
He had cleaned up 72 hours.
Much longer than it would have if his problem had been drugs. What if it's mental illness exacerbated by drugs? That could be worse here because we figured that out too, that, those things don't go together.
Yeah.
Mental illness and recreational drugs are difficult.
Man-made fun drugs.
Not good, yeah.
Way different.
So they said, "We are treating Mr. Johnson for a manic depressive disorder, chemical in nature, that produces elation, expansive behavior, instability, marked impairment of judgment, illogical speech, lack of sleep." So the doctor said he gave Eddie lithium.
Yeah.
Very fucking strong medicine here. Yeah. So now he's going to be doing coke and lithium.
Wow.
That is a wild combination. So the doctor said...
So he got some sort of relief with the lithium, and he likes it.
And he likes it, yeah. And then he goes up, and now he can go up and down.
Yeah.
Now it's like when people drink booze, probably.
Right.
So they said he had shown marked improvement, but then obviously he was released, and we know what happened. Yeah. So July 28th, 1980, there's an article. Mind you, what was it? 4 months ago.
Right.
There was an article, Eddie's stardom, he's the best. Now the article is, quote, "Eddie Johnson's Hell" is the name of the headline of the article. We have really changed up on Eddie Johnson at this point. He's gone from star to living in hell in 4 months. March to fucking July.
Steve Carell's Hell.
Hell.
What? I didn't even know he was troubled.
Hell. Holy fucking shit. That's insane. They said Eddie Johnson, they're talking about, this is Wearsdale, Florida, tiny community in the southern part of Marion County, in the central part of the state, has not had many sports heroes. In fact, this summer, residents of the area were happily making plans to honor perhaps the first genuine sports hero Wearsdale, I almost said Wheelsdale, has ever had. Their favorite son, Eddie Johnson.
Oh, sorry, Frank.
Oh, man. Well, he wasn't in the NBA yet.
Yeah,
he was the youngest.
He's alive.
He hasn't done anything yet, though.
Yeah, but
he's in like high school at this point. Why? Your brother's in the NBA. Why would they mention you in the same breath as the guy who's in the NBA? What kind of fucking asshole would want to be mentioned? I would be embarrassed if you mentioned me in the same breath as my brother.
But is he playing in Wearsville at this time?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's doing well?
Yeah, I'm sure, because he went to Wake Forest, but he hasn't done anything out of it. He's just a high school kid in there.
But
this guy's in the NBA.
Okay.
He's an NBA All-Star.
I hope Frank won in high school because his brother didn't.
I think he did. Yeah.
Did he?
I think later on, he did. Frank was a great player, but yeah, I wouldn't be jealous if I was Frank yet.
I don't know about jealous. That might hurt, though.
Like me, even though I haven't done anything.
Is he not playing in college or in high school right now?
Yeah, he's in high school, which who cares about high school? There's a lot of kids that are good in high school. What did you do outside of Wearsdale, I think is the point.
But Wearsdale is that's where he didn't even do anything there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He didn't do anything until he got out of there.
That's the point, I think. He got out of here and did something. Right. We're honoring him because all of us would love to get the fuck out of here and do something.
Fuck this place.
Yeah, there's plenty of people that do shit in town. Great.
Yeah.
What can you do in the outside world?
Maybe bring some attention to us and help us out, get some more fucking eyes on this place so we can all get out.
Come on, get out of here and tell people about it.
Tell people we exist and we're struggling.
Tell them we exist and we need help, please.
We're trying so hard.
Bring medicine.
We're all so tired.
Bring clean water and medicine. We're really having problems. That's fucking hilarious. So they said Eddie Johnson Appreciation Day was scheduled for the first week in September. Eddie was going to speak to the student body at Lake Weir High School. Oh, my God. That's going to be great.
Great.
Kids, let me tell you what's wonderful. Even better than basketball and doing well in school and being nice to your parents. Cocaine, okay? Let me tell you. Oh, hold on. He said then the whole town was going to be invited out to a big barbecue that evening at a nearby lakeside park. There, Eddie would be wined and speeched and honored, as they used to say. Why the mayor, if Wearsdale has one, would probably even present Eddie Johnson with a key to the city. Now, some cynics in today's faster and faster and anything goes society probably think this sort of small town celebration is corny and old fashioned. They're probably the same ones who think the use of drugs is fun and exciting and the in thing to do. Yeah, like people who were getting laid and shit back then.
Right.
Wow, those who think drugs are funny should go through the hell Eddie Johnson is now going through. Man, on the night of Sunday, July 13th, Eddie Johnson, as likable a fellow as you'll ever meet, that's how they describe him, was arrested in Atlanta for possession of cocaine. The fact that it didn't come as a shock to anyone, not even the gentle folk of Marion County, is said testimony to just how prevalent this drug disease has become, especially among the athletes. Yeah. Over the last 5 years, this writer has heard more and more talk, more and more openly, which is a sign of relaxed attitudes about the widespread of use of drugs among football and basketball players at Wake Forest and other ACC schools. I've never had proof that this talk is accurate, but the winks from the athletes themselves are convincing enough evidence for me. Oh. This is good. Smoking pot, even getting a hold of stronger stuff, such as cocaine, is considered a lark, much as kids in my college days boasted of getting bombed on grape juice and vodka. Well, that's a gross combo.
Yeah.
The difference, for us, it was all over after the hangover until the next big fraternity party a month or so later. A contrast to the day-to-day way of life that seemingly innocent, small use of drugs so quickly leads to. Yes, because nobody's an alcoholic, you fucking dummy rube.
Yeah.
Are you joking?
He doesn't know that it's bad for you.
Yeah, no, all those people, every fucking adult was an alcoholic back then. They'd all fucking have 9 drinks at night. What are you talking about? What do you think, that was good for you?
Anybody that I ever saw get socially drink in the 80s got socially fucking wasted.
Wasted. Got socially carried out to their car where they socially backed it out and fucking drove away socially. That's what happened.
Socially crashed it somewhere.
Yeah, and then socially wrapped it around a telephone pole.
Yeah, I mean that's my drunk white trash people that I was around, but I never saw anybody drink to like enjoyment and then leave a party. Everybody was fucking hammered.
They get hammered.
Hammered.
That's how life was back then.
Crazy drunk.
We lived a different, and before that, when this guy was talking about when he was a kid, they lived it even harder with booze.
Yeah.
We just added more things to it later on. Mm-hmm. So this guy says, just look at a few of the personal tragedies that have unfolded in the NBA this year. Bernard King's arrested on a charge of attempted rape after he allegedly attacked a female companion while high on cocaine.
Bernard.
David Thompson, another alum of ours, Skywalker there, literally worshipped when he was at NC State by kids who dreamt of someday being like him, becomes a virtual recluse in Denver, and the rumors of drugs, and although not proven, are rampant. Mm-hmm. Terry Furlow is killed instantly when he crashes his Mercedes-Benz into a utility pole.
Oh, God.
You know, but he did it.
Good Lord, so sober.
So sober. At 3 a.m., the coroner's report showed that he had cocaine and Valium in his blood. Well, yeah, that's a problem.
And probably a bunch of alcohol, too.
Probably. The investigation of the one-car crash reveals that Furlow never touched his brakes.
Yeah.
And then he talks about Eddie Johnson and what we just discussed with him. A newspaper friend in Florida has told me that friends of Eddie's in South Marion who talked with him the last few weeks said the basketball player had a marked personality change since they'd seen him last, and it wasn't a change for the better. They said Ed Johnson was involved in an incident in Lake County, Florida in mid-June. He was apparently innocent of any wrongdoing except driving without a valid license, but it still caused some raised eyebrows, including some of the members of the Eddie Johnson Day Committee. Then there was another incident in Atlanta early June, but no charges were filed. The telltale signs of drug use are so obvious that they easily arouse the suspicions of the police. Johnson's friends noticed that as well. It said, isn't it time the league and league officials and coaches and teammates also pick up on the signs before the entire NBA, the NFL, and Major League Baseball aren't far behind, ends up on the police blotter? All of them. If there was all of them, we could do the show for 30 years, but that didn't happen, unfortunately. This is our dream that all that happened, because then we'd have way more to choose from. They said, or worse, before hundreds of lives are ruined, and who knows how many thousands of others are influenced in the wrong direction. Let's hope the people of Wearsdale, who a few weeks ago were so ready to praise Eddie Johnson, don't forget him now when he needs friends the most. Sports heroes are fine, but human beings are more important.
Okay.
Wow, what a fucking up on your bullshit soapbox, holier than thou, cunt face. At least
live like me.
Live like me, and if you don't, I don't understand you because you're weird and bad and a loser.
Live sober and hate yourself like me.
How about there's also people, and you know this is obviously less, but there's also people who can just do drugs sometimes and enjoy them, and then not do them when they don't want to do them. They're called casual users. They exist. Not everybody that ever did coke was fucking hooked on coke. That's not what happened. Some people just did it. You know, they go to a bar on a Saturday night, and their friend would have some. They have a couple lines and dance more and fucking, you know, whatever. Wait a little while longer to get a hard on, and they were fine.
I know people that do it today that just do
casually.
It's very bizarre too. When
it's so strange. It's so strange.
I'm not coke all the time. Be a weirdo
not like that. Yeah, I'm not. So I don't. I never got into it because I know myself, and if I liked it, I wouldn't fucking do it. Plus, I hate it. I did it once, and it's horrible. Oh, it's so horrible.
It's God. And as a guy that doesn't do it, when people go, you want to go do coke in the bathroom? I'm like, what?
Yes.
You talking to somebody else?
The less you want to do coke, the more people want to give you coke, which is the weirdest thing.
So
this one restaurant I worked in, it was every fucking night. I don't do coke for the 50th time. We smoked a joint. We drank espresso. How much more do I need in my system to fucking to give people spaghetti? What the fuck are we doing?
I don't know how. It's flattering. I think it is flattering. I like that. I'll use that. It's flattering. When
I guess. Yeah. They want to hang out. That's nice.
Hey, you sound fun. Come be fun with us. I like that you are inviting me to do this, to be honest.
But please don't anymore.
No. Well,
we get it now, too, sometimes.
And I'm certainly willing to try it, but I'm not now because everything's fucking crazy.
Yeah, thank you.
It's all fucking crazy.
Yeah, they're shitting it now that you don't know
I don't
what
want
the fuck's
anything.
in it.
No, I don't know where the fuck you. I didn't see when it was made. No, I don't want that.
No. How many people are dropping from shit like that?
Yeah, I'm not touching it. No, thank you. Especially not the Southwest. In the Southwest, all of it's fucked. All of it's garbage. Yeah.
It's all trash.
No thanks.
August 1st, 1980, there's a warrant for Eddie, and no warrant has been served on him yet. They said Atlanta police are investigating why no arrest warrant has been served on Eddie Johnson, the player accused of stealing the Porsche.
Yeah.
So they're saying he was taken to a hospital, he did all this and blah, 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 but they're like, why haven't we done that?
Right.
They said if the hospital had released him, we would have no way of knowing of his walking out. So they're like, we don't know why they haven't served this warrant. Mm-hmm. So the police are asking why haven't we served this warrant?
Right.
I don't know. Go serve it. What the fuck are you asking the paper for?
Hey, did you guys? I got this list. Did you guys do this one?
Right, him, right?
You guys got that one, right?
You know that guy, right? No, where the fuck is he then? So August 7th, 1980, the auto theft charges are dropped.
Oh.
Yes, they are fucking dropped, which is interesting. The owner of Luxury Auto Import Limited explained the reversal in his position because he swore out the warrant against Johnson here. He said first, the automobile was recovered without damage.
I've got the car and it's
no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
Secondly, under the circumstances, it appears to me that the medical treatment would be the best course of action for Eddie Johnson at this time. Yeah. Accordingly, I do not feel that the pursuit of criminal prosecution would be appropriate.
Yeah. Also,
do you
I got
think
$5
Ted Turner
more
gave
out of
him
that
a call?
Car yeah, maybe so. Yeah.
That car is now sitting in Ted Turner's fucking 26 car garage somewhere at the end. I'll give you 35 for it. Shut up. Yeah. That's what I think.
Or a giant Hawks fan came in and said, "Can I get the car that was stolen? Is it damaged?" No, I want
Fast
that.
Eddie. Yeah. I think it's definitely something about that. He says, thirdly, contrary to a report in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution of Saturday, August 2nd, 1980, I have not instigated any investigation of any sort of Sergeant Jimmie Stroud in connection with this matter. Our full and complete cooperation has been given to all departments of the Atlanta Police, and we shall continue to fully and completely cooperate with all departments when requested to do so. So they stopped helping the cops because somebody got this guy to fucking Atlanta. Back then, dude, Atlanta was a big city, but it was still a small town, big city. Like, important people all knew each other, and Ted Turner was the guy with the fucking local TV station. He owned all the sports teams. If he said, "Hey, do me a solid, big guy," you'd fucking do it, because then Ted Turner owes you a favor, which is what you wanted back then. So
not a lot of statues of people around that town. He's got one.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's got one. So yeah, they said the general manager said, "I can't comment on Eddie's medical condition. That's up to the doctor. However, we are extremely encouraged."
Sure.
So yeah, he ends up, like we said, the charges are dropped. Okay. So now they're saying August 26, 1980, 5 months past emerging, blossoming superstar, everything's great. 5 months later, NBA may ban Johnson as an example to others, as an example to the others.
He might be done.
Done forever, kick him out for good. The greatest thing since sliced bread 5 months ago. Wow. So they said that, has the Atlanta Hawks' Eddie Johnson been squeezed into a judicial corner from which the chances of escape are slim? That question became pertinent last week when the National Basketball Association Commissioner Larry O'Brien, who the fuck is that? This is like 2 years before David Stern took over.
Well, maybe
that's why. Yep. Any player proven to have engaged in such activity relating to cocaine will forfeit his right to play in the NBA. Seems excessive. Seems a bit excessive. They said Johnson was arrested, obviously, for this, and they said the timing of his arraignment is interesting because the Hawks will begin their training camp a day later, and until O'Brien's announcement, the way was clear for Johnson, if he so chose, and the judge so ruled, to plead guilty, to be put on probation, and then continue uninterrupted his basketball career. Now, if Johnson pleads guilty, does this mean he falls under O'Brien's edict of last week and thereby forfeits his right to play in the NBA? You can't. That's ex post facto shit. You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't
make a rule after someone did something and then say everybody who did it before it now that counts. That's not. That doesn't work. Fucking yeah. So they said
even when they tighten up laws about fucking death penalties, the ones before it don't. It's not applied to that shit.
No, only the loosened up goes retroactive. The tightening can't go retroactive.
You can't fuck with people
extra.
like that.
No, the general manager of the Hawks says he doesn't think so. Caston, the silverest man in town here.
Sure.
He said, I would imagine any ban would apply to Eddie irrespective of how his case turns out. Bans can only be prospective and not retroactive. Yeah, you can't apply that. No such assurance came from the league office, however. For weeks prior to O'Brien's announcement, there had been rumors that the commissioner was going to make an example of the first player convicted of a drug charge more serious than marijuana. The first guy to get busted with coke, I'm going to fucking crucify him so everybody knows.
And that's a fascinating rule. How do you parse between what's more serious?
Because guys have been smoking weed in the league for years and they don't fucking jump out of balconies and steal Porsches the same week. They chill out.
What's more serious? Just powders? Do you know what I mean?
I think that he's talking about anything. Let's be honest.
Coke and heroin, right? It's coke and heroin.
And pills. Invert the drug pyramid. There's booze, there's weed, and then there's everything else. You know what I mean?
Well,
those are different.
Booze, weed, mushrooms, everything else.
But
right?
Mushrooms are hallucinogens. That's fine. But like in the normal realm of what's always available,
hard narcotic is not anything weed or hallucinogen, right?
I told my daughter when she was 15, no pills, no powders.
Yeah,
that's
about it.
It's done. No pills, no fucking powders.
If it's generated somewhere in a lab or / trailer, don't touch it.
Don't touch it. You don't know what's in it, and it could be terrible for you, and you'll probably want to do it more the next day. So stop fucking doing it.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So confronted with the same question as Caston, the league publicist said a different answer. He said after conferring with his superiors, he said the commissioner has broad powers. As specified, I think so, by both league, the standard player contract, and the league's constitution to handle charges for violations or bad conduct. But that's one that you take to arbitration, and they'd fucking end up giving Eddie money for that. They said, as unequivocating as O'Brien's edict seemed, it really isn't. The commissioner's decision will be made on a case-by-case basis, which leaves him considerable latitude on the severity of punishment. Again, you can't really do that either, because then guys... Why'd he get less and I got this, and all that kind of shit.
Parsing experience and event.
Yeah, they said O'Brien's edict merely added to the confusion that surrounds the drug question as related to the NBA. The commissioner also stated the NBA Players Association supports our view by taking the position that it will disassociate itself from any player who is convicted of using illegal drugs. Okay. Thanks, union, for backing me. Jesus Christ, that's fucking wild. But the executive director of the Players Association says that O'Brien is out of his fucking mind, and no. This guy said, I think a lot of things are said in the heat of the moment. One article came out in Los Angeles, and it became a national story. I think the idea of those figures on drug use in the NBA is ridiculous. This is an NBA, a story in the LA Times that estimated between 40 and 75% of the players in the NBA use cocaine. Number one, that's a huge swing, 40 to 75. A giant window. And is that
either 4 and 10 or 3 and 4?
Yeah, that's very different, man.
Yeah.
And at the same time, too, is that players who are addicted to cocaine or guys who, do a fucking line at the bar at night or something to, fuck a chick or you know what I mean? Like, we don't know the severity
or they do a line because they had too many shots of Jack.
That could be a thing too. That's
and they got to get home.
To chill out. Yeah, they got to get home. They got to be able to get their shit together. The Hawks president says that this article quotes the Hawks president as saying an estimated 50% used cocaine and 10% freebased. Now we're getting serious.
1 in 10 is freebasing?
Freebasing, yeah.
My God.
Wow. Now, the GM of the Hawks said, I didn't say that shit. He said, I never gave a 75% figure. I wouldn't know any figure to give, and I consider that figure preposterous. I would also like to add that right at this moment, I feel very positive. Our entire team is clean of drugs. Okay. 75% is too high, and nobody on our team is way too low. You got to just go more normal.
It's somebody else's team. That's a
wow.
Boy, is that an ostrich head in the sand father who's got a junkie for a child.
Yeah, I think he's totally good now. He's totally clean. Yes, our TV is missing. That's a thing. That's true. But we don't know what happened to it. We cannot put it on him yet.
It's been missing knobs for months anyway.
Yeah. Yes, his great-grandmother's jewelry is gone from my wife's spot. That's gone. Yes, that's true. But
it's just somebody in this neighborhood is a crackhead.
They must be a crackhead. Has to be.
Yeah.
So 1980 also, this is, we have a rule in crime and sports, and I believe this rule came from Eddie Johnson originally. It was when we got the ball in motion. And that rule is when things are going bad for you. And I would say going from golden boy to pariah in 5 short fucking months.
Causing the whole league to look at just you.
Just you. You're the scourge. You've done dumb shit. People are shooting at you. All this. What's the one thing you shouldn't do? What's the one large decision you probably shouldn't make right now?
He should certainly sign father to his resume.
Yeah, well, he should certainly not
husband.
Get married. That's the problem. Yeah. Because your judgment is not going well.
No.
But he does. He marries Diana Raciz of Pittsburgh. This goes against the advice of everyone that he knows.
Yeah.
Everyone that knows him said, for the love of Christ, don't marry this fucking broad. And he marries her anyway.
Yeah.
So all of this, okay, this is how quickly shit can go in the press back then when they were just, and now too. Shit, it's faster now.
All right.
Okay, he went from golden boy in March, piece of shit in August.
Yeah.
Need to get him out of the league, everybody like him. By September 11th, the Atlanta Journal has an article says, quote, Johnson says trouble's behind him. He's good now. Wipe my hands of that. All good. He just lived 4 lifetimes in 5 months. That's the craziest fucking thing I've ever seen.
And he turned it around on September 11th. Good for you,
That's
man.
good for you. He knew in the future what was coming.
Yeah.
21 years from now, this is going to mean something. Right now.
It's going to be a happy day for me no matter what.
Yeah, he was celebrating. Oh, no. So this article says that Eddie Johnson, troubled this summer with drug-related problems, says he's ready to report for training camp and take things as he did before his problems, despite all the pressures. At a press conference in the Hawks boardroom at the Omni, Johnson answered questions. Jesus, they put him up there to answer press questions. Wow, he had his attorney there, too. There were also statements from a psychiatrist, Dr. Lloyd Backus, concerning the nature of the medical. They just had, here's his lawyer, here's his shrink. It's a press conference with a big banner that says, he's good now, over it.
Yeah, right.
This is fucking crazy. No questions directed to the charges Eddie faces in Fulton County Court here were answered. The Johnson was arrested, obviously. We'll talk about that. Now, since late July, he's been under the treatment of Dr. Backus, and Backus characterized his problems as a manic-depressive disorder there. He says that this mood disorder characterized by elation and dejection and can be marked by problems with financial and personal relations.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Backus said that it's a genetic thing and chemical in its background. He said he's been treating the player with lithium for, Backus said lithium's in a natural state is present in a person's system in varying amounts, and that imbalance is what causes it for him, this whole thing. Questions were asked concerning the possibility of exposure to other drugs being involved in the disorder, and Backus said, quote, Eddie is clearly in a condition independent of any other consideration. In my opinion, no other factor or expression of any other factor precipitated the disorder. So,
okay. Yeah, he was born this way.
He's born this way, and he can't fucking help it.
But lithium is an aggressive treatment, too.
It's very aggressive. It's a lot.
To be on lithium, it's very rare.
Nowadays, they don't just hand that to you first. That's not the first fucking thing they hand out.
It's a wild approach.
Well, here you go. Here's incredibly strong drugs. So go ahead and fucking Go ahead and chill out and wait for Nirvana to write a song about it. So,
it's a really aggressive treatment.
It's a lot. So they said, that's what they had to give him. He said Johnson was asked if he had any opinions on recent stories, estimating that a huge high percentage of everybody uses coke. And he said, quote, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Eddie, what do you think of the number of guys who do drugs in the NBA being
We've heard it could be this number or this number.
My problem is not drug related, so I can't say. That's what he said. He acted like I don't know anything about drugs, so
don't ask me.
They told me I have a mental issue, so it's not drug related. So
I've got lithium.
Wow. He was asked if he was optimistic about his chances of returning to the playing status he had last season, and he said, I feel optimistic. It's a good feeling to know I had a problem and can deal with it now. A lot of people tried to tell me I had a problem, but I didn't listen then. Since the doctors diagnosed it, I can understand, and I feel more like my old self.
Yeah.
He said that he is wary of what may happen when he returns to playing, but, quote, I'm at a point where I think I can deal with that. He's good now, is what he's saying, I think. He said, I'm scared about it because this will determine my livelihood. It would be ridiculous to say I'm not scared. The doctor said, they asked the doctor, what were the chances of problems from the disorder recurring?
Right.
About 96 probably right about now. This is his first time in treatment, so 150, I don't know. 300.
Taking lithium.
He'll be back. Let's just say that. Yeah, your first time in treatment. I don't know if that's going to stick if everything hasn't fallen apart. It's like, again, on The Wire. Remember when Steve Earle is down there and they're throwing out the testers and he goes to Bubbles. He goes, he hadn't hit his bottom yet. He hasn't hit his bottom yet. He's not going to fucking stop.
The thing is, I'd love to see the statistic of percentage of people that go to rehab and it sticks the first time.
The first time.
That. Yeah, number one.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Number one. And especially, okay, it might stick if you're a regular person.
Yeah.
And you make $71,000 a year for your whole family and you're supporting your whole family on that. That's the $70,000 is the average household income here in America. So you're doing that and you get caught doing it, and holy shit, your wife's going to kick you out of the fucking house and you can't afford to get another place and you'll be fucked in alimony. I got
to pay 2 households. I can't do that on this money.
That would make you stop. Maybe, that might if you didn't have a huge problem, if you just started fucking around with it and you were like, oh God,
if you're dabbling,
if you're dabbling, but if you are
if you've got a rig in a zipper, in a zip pack, you're
done. No, you're fucked. Yeah. If you have a special bag you carry around.
If you've got a John Travolta Pulp Fiction rig in the glove box, you're fucked.
You're in deep fucking shit. And if you're rich, famous, and still getting your dick sucked every night by hot women, why would you stop?
Why would you stop?
There's no reason to stop. Everything's still great.
It's working.
If I had $13,000, I wouldn't have a fucking cocaine problem, in the words of Sam Kinison.
I've got $13,000. I'm doing great.
Oh, my God. So the doctor, though, said the rapid improvement he's made is characteristic of the disorder and treatment. It depends on the individual as to how long the treatment is needed. It's somewhat analogous to diabetes and insulin. Adjusting the right levels of everything so you're at your right levels, I think is what he's
balance.
going. Yeah, exactly. His attorney, Robert Fierer, allowed no questions about the criminal charges at the news conference. He said, there will be no questions dealing with the charges or circumstances leading to these charges. At some time, we and Eddie will be completely open in answering questions like that.
At some time.
At some time, when it's out of the news and you've forgotten about it and it's no longer interesting to your readers. That's when we'll talk about it. When you guys don't give a shit,
that's when we'll be thrilled to talk about it.
Oh, my fucking God here. So here we go. We'll close out with this here. September 15th, 1980. Less than 6 months after he's a golden boy. He's been kicked.
4 days later.
And propped back up again. This is an article called One Battled Success, the Other Failure. And they said Eddie Johnson almost died this summer.
Oh.
Whoa.
That's news.
He took his chances trying to barge into a couple houses as he drove off with an auto dealer's $31,000 Porsche. But his closest escape was the day his all-star agility allowed him to dodge bullets in a parking lot.
Yeah.
It'd be great if he took out a basketball while he was doing it. He's doing drills. A psychiatrist has since said that the Hawks star is suffering from manic depressive disorder and that he's doing fine. Then they talk about Terry Furlow. He did not survive the short time between basketball season. A friend of Johnson's, once a teammate and rival for a starting role, Furlow died May 23rd when his automobile crashed into a pole on a highway in Ohio at 3 a.m. So they said that he had cocaine and Valium in his bloodstream, but that's it. Yeah. They said no booze. The problems, he might have fell asleep. That's why there's no shot on the brakes. The Valium might have overtaken the coke.
Depends on how much Valium you had.
That's the thing. You got to know what you're leveling out. That's a clutch and a gas pedal.
Fuck yeah.
If you want to go up the hill, you can't be fucking depressing to one or the other. Yeah. You have to do that. So the problems that have consumed these two gifted athletes have added to the concern that drug use is becoming a more common problem among professional athletes. But that's, big deal. They talk about how these two are so different because one is dead and Eddie, on the other hand, is now all better.
Superman.
So, he's doing great. They said the intense pressure of professional sports is also a factor in the problems of Furlow and Eddie Johnson. Like athletes everywhere, they were competing to hold jobs worth hundreds of thousands of dollars while being courted by so-called friends who will ply them with empty encouragement and perhaps even the latest mega drug.
Yeah.
What's that? Mega drug? Where the fuck is that? Someone point me in that direction. Jesus Christ.
James, you don't want it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't want that at all here. They said charisma. That's the word people used to describe the late Terry Furlow. He could be the life of the party, get up and sing, or do his Mr. Magoo imitations. Oh, he sounds hilarious.
He did another one when he hit that pole.
Yeah. He sounds hilarious. Why the fuck are they going to? Wow. Okay.
Mr. Magoo? What is that?
Holy fucking shit. They go on talking about what a great guy Furlow is, and Dr. J says he's fucking wonderful and everything like that. They're talking about what freebase is, which is hilarious.
Hilarious. It was kind of new then, yeah?
Yeah, they said the comedian Richard Pryor nearly died in a home fire in Northridge that has been blamed by police on a freebasing accident. Also in his stand-up, he said it.
Yeah, also he says it.
He did about 15 minutes on freebasing and that shit.
Really admits he tried to murder himself.
No shit, or, at least...
accidentally tried to murder himself.
Yeah. When Furlow died... Eddie Johnson told the paper in Atlanta, quote, "There's no way I'm going to abuse my body like Terry Furlow, my best friend, did. There were times when I loved him and times I hated him, but he was a real man."
Wow.
Holy shit, man. After the season, by the way, here, that's when he said that they think that he probably had more money and time than he could handle.
Yeah.
And Tree Rollins here, who, by the way, is Eddie's cousin.
What?
That Tree Rollins and Eddie Johnson and Frank Johnson are all cousins.
Out of here.
Yes, they're cousins. So not only was he drafted that year, not only is he at the fucking team or on his team, but he's also his cousin, and his real name is Wayne.
Wayne Rollins.
I've never seen his name put in anything but Tree. He's always been Tree.
On cars, it's always Tree. On cards, they wrote
always
Tree Rollins.
Tree. Yeah, they didn't put Wayne Tree. It was just Tree. But Wayne is his fucking real name.
I'd go by Tree also.
Yeah, that's the most surprising thing since you told me we found out together that C. Murder's name is Corey. Corey Murder, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Good to meet you, sir. Corey Murder here to take your daughter to the homecoming dance. Hi. Hello.
It's a pleasure, sir.
Corey Murder. Now, Tree Rollins said, quote, "I couldn't believe the way Eddie was acting. Eddie was always a quiet guy, never hung out in discos or stuff like that." Discos. It is 1980. There was actual discos. All of a sudden, Eddie was like a different guy. He blew up and
doing all the disco shit outside the disco,
discoing and looking like Travolta in a different movie now. Yeah. He goes from Saturday Night Fever to Pulp Fiction Travolta. This is not good. Oh my God!
Worst characters of Travolta. Well, I don't know. Grease.
No, they're two. I think they're his two best actually.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I think Pulp Fiction and fucking
Bubble
and
Boy's
Monero, Tony Monero are his two best roles. I think. Who?
Bubble Boy was pretty good.
That was funny. That's funny. But definitely, Tony Monero. Yeah, you nice girl, you cunt. I mean, that's you got that line. That's you win right there.
Did he? I think in Bubble Boy, he got a hand job from that girl inside the bubble. I think that's.
She definitely rubbed him with a. Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
That was Bubble Boy.
She reached her hand in and gave him a hand.
There's a riff tracks of Bubble Boy, so I've seen it in like the last year and a half. It's fucking hilarious. Yeah, it's on. I think it's on Tubi or YouTube, one of the two. So it's free. You can watch it.
Funny.
It's fucking hilarious. So his team says that, Terry, that what happened to Furlow won't happen to him because at the time we thought Eddie had a drug problem. We didn't realize he had a manic depressive problem.
Yeah.
Like they're all completely mutually exclusive. You can't have both.
Yeah.
You can't be a bipolar guy who likes Coke. That's impossible, right?
That's amazing.
Holy shit. The next year, 80-81, this team is in turmoil because the Hawks go from 50 and 32 to 31 and 51.
Oh,
flipped their records.
Flipped it. Wow.
Flipped it. And they suck bad. Not
Lost
good at
50.
all.
Jesus.
Lost 50, not doing great. Eddie in September late September, is going to plead not guilty in a drug case. So not guilty here. So he's pleading. That's that. Not guilty. And he's saying he's certain he'll be ready for the regular season no matter what happens. And we'll pick up that regular season on the next episode of Crime and Sports.
Slow down, Eddie. You're too fast.
He's fast. He had a fast 1980. Most of the show was about the 6 months of 1 year.
Yeah.
And he's not even close to fucking done yet. This is just everything's fine, and then he's just going to keep getting arrested from now on through the rest of the time.
Wow. I'm about to be born, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I'm about to be born into cocaine. And Eddie Johnson. So check that out. Check out next week's, because that'll be Eddie Johnson Part 2. Great. Right away, we've talked about, this is twice as long as the episode we did at first that covered his entire life. I mean, you have to get into the depth of it. I don't even know if we talked about his bipolar stuff very much or anything in the first episode. I think a little bit we touched on it, but not that he doesn't have a drug problem because he's bipolar and all that kind of shit. So definitely do that. Also, if you like this show, give a review on whatever app you're listening on. I'm telling you right now, it helps out a lot. So thanks for doing it. It takes 20 seconds. Please do that. Give us 5 stars.
We also found out that TNT and TBS founder Ted Turner is a weed guy. No, we didn't talk about that in the first one.
Yeah. Oh, no, we definitely didn't talk about that. Ted Turner didn't come up at all, I don't think.
Right.
I don't think I knew he was a weed guy in 2016.
Oh, all right. Well, now we know.
There was a book about it, about his whole deal. I read a book about him because it's just interesting shit. And, that was part of it. So he likes to close a deal. Yeah, he got kicked out of college and shit. Like he's
really.
Yeah. He's a fucking
he's a shitster. I like it.
He's a shitster. Then he was a fucking captain of the whatever what are those teams with the big fucking sailboat things?
Sailing?
What the fuck they are? Is it sailing? What do they call it though?
I don't fucking know.
What's the fucking? There's a big race.
Yeah.
That he does, and he won it and shit. Like he's a captain of bullshit.
Oh, God damn it. It's a catamaran. I don't know.
I don't fucking know what it is. It doesn't matter. He does rich guy shit that we don't know anything about. That's what it is. We don't even know what it's called because that's how not in our world that is.
Not rich I am.
No. So, check out plenty of more information we definitely didn't tell you on the first time. So we'll do that. You certainly want to go to shutupandgivememurder.com, get all your merchandise, get all your stuff. You certainly want to listen to our other 2 shows, too.
Oh, yeah.
Small Town Murder, obviously, because it's been around for almost as long as Crime and Sports. You should check that out. And also, Your Stupid Opinions. If you've been going, I don't want to hear that. Yeah. You fucking want to hear that.
Sure do.
Give us 10 minutes. You will laugh, I promise. There you go.
Certainly, yeah.
You'll love it. So check that out and keep doing that as well. You can follow us on social media at Crime and Sports on all the stuff there. You can subscribe to Patreon if you still can't get enough. And Patreon, tons of episodes on there. Anybody $5 a month or above, you're getting hundreds immediately that you never had before. And then you're getting new ones every other week. 1 Crime and Sports, 1 Small Town Murder. And you get to listen to all that shit.
Yeah.
And this week is no different. For Crime and Sports, we're going to talk about something that has nothing to do with sports.
Right.
Everything that has to do with huge amounts of wild death. We're going to talk about industrial accidents.
Great.
Which is fucking insane. And there's a lot of crazy ones. And people just getting incinerated, melted by molten steel in a second. It's fucking crazy. Then for Small Town Murders bonus, we're going to talk about the cannibal cop.
Okay.
Who was a New York City cop from, I believe, about 10 years ago who wanted to eat people, allegedly. And is that okay? Are you allowed to fantasize about eating people if you're a cop? I don't know. The legal system had a little run through with it. So
certainly going to come up if you fuck up otherwise.
Hopefully it'll come up in your job review at least of the year. So we hear you like to eat people. That seems counter to what we're trying to do here. Yeah. So there you go. Do that. Hang out with us and keep hanging out with us. And patreon.com/crime and sports, that is. And you'll get a shout out at the end of the show, which is when?
Oh, right now. Yeah.
Right motherfucking now. Jimmie, hit me with the names of the most wonderful people in the world who would not jump out of a window if we were trying to shoot them. They'd say, hey, please, don't shoot me.
Something.
And we'd say, okay. You gave us Patreon money. We won't shoot you. That said, hit me with them right fucking now.
This week's executive producers are Haley Walls, Raya B. Congrats on cancer surgery.
Oh, no.
That's wonderful.
Oh, did well?
I mean, the surgery's bad, obviously.
Good.
But getting it done and surviving it, good for you,
Fuck
Ryan.
Yeah. Good for you.
Welcome to the team. Also, Gary Howard, Jen Mink. Jen Mink subscribed twice, I think. She's terrific.
Maybe she gifted
Jen.
someone. Thank you.
Maybe, yeah. Jill King
Thanks,
and Beverly Morill. Thank you all.
Thank you for my present, Gary, as well. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. What a guy.
Nice. Thank you, Gary. I really appreciate you, bro.
Yeah. You're a good dude, Gary Bear.
You really are. Thank you.
Stay out of trouble and don't cause problems at the fucking showers at the Lux.
Don't cause problems at the showers. That's amazing.
Other
could be anything. You really left it open vaguely. Is he peeking? What's he doing in there? Gary, what are you doing?
Don't do that.
Stay out of trouble, brother.
Other producers this week are Scarlett Horbeast, happy birthday. Hey. Peyton Meadows, Abigail Gathered, donated twice. Thank you, Abigail.
Wow,
that's very nice. Janice Hill, Evan Peace, or Pease maybe, Alana Zemmel, Maddie Sturm, Micah Tyler, Nick Weissman, Luke G, Hayden Ferran, I think, Dark Windows Pod, Deb with no last name, Astana Kalash.
Oh.
Sounds like a dish. David Allen, Leonie Nayland, Tiffany Herbert. Hey Bear, maybe?
Sure.
Hair Bear.
Bear.
Would have lots of
shredded
yeah,
cabbage.
something shredded. Right. Mershaholic and Stroke Malone. All right. I don't know what that is. C and J. CJ, the letters C and J. Thank you, CJ. By John Blake Kearney or Carney, Krista Keller, Amy Weinrich, Michelle Mick, and Izzy Garrity. Michelle, Mick, and Izzy Garrity Bates.
Hey, there you go.
If your last name is Garrity, I hope you are. Wasn't it Pat? Oh, Pat Garrett, not Garrity. All right, moving on. Rosa Eaton, Quentin McCruden. Bradley Powers, Tina Fogg, Samantha Ron, Angela Shimate, Ashley Roshetsky, Lee Heath, Christopher Ebeling, Liesel Manone, Ben Dover. There he is. The guy exists. So everybody's been writing your name
found him.
For years. Ben.
Yeah. And is Dick Gazinia with him, too? Were they found on the same desert island together?
Hot Toddy, Matt Gordon, Brooke Whitfield, Robert McNitt, Brittany A., Corey Kavanaugh, Hadley Oberg, Jeremy Randolph, Larissa with no last name, Lucy Roots, Matt Spurgeon, Nick Grillo or Grillot, Michelle O'Brien, Nikki with no last name, Amber Dreyer, Missy Deadlow, Sarah Baker, Petty Killer, Jen with no last name, Mara Catherine, Just Randy, Lauren with no last name, John Ratz, Andrea Bacon, Elizabeth Price, Allison Delotenville, Pam Castro, Haley Phillips, Edith Magallanes, Maggie, all right, wow. Sarcasm Defender, Holly Garner, Seth, Bangy Banghart, Ivan, there he is, Ivana Fukar.
Oh, see, that's who's with. Gotcha.
It's Ivana with Ben.
I knew he had a bud there. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Ivana Fuker. That's what it is. Andrea Mack, Holden Gonzagas. There's also them too.
Oh, nice. From the Gonzagas family, the whole family. Yeah, I know them.
Yuri Volnov, Jeff Doris, Abby Evans, Janet Lunn maybe, David Inskeep, Myra with no last name, Dale Roberts, Justin Hedgedorn, Ellie Johnson, Robert Wessel, Tanner Murphy, Turhan Jordan Hill, Justin Taft, Stephen Darnell, Jeremy Haas, Sequoia Salazar, Andrew Belts, sorry, Andrew, Marissa M, Kevin Hudson, Roots and all, Michelle Ryan, William Pagor, Janice, Sagnis, Andrew James, John Giles, maybe Gills, Ryan McKinney, Audibleista, Elise Allison Simonovich,
Simovich, Allison M., Tycho, I think, Tykho. That's Tycho. Jacob Dick, Green, Brienne Sullivan, Tina Davila, Peter Carini, Officer Big Mac, Suzanne Kelly, Jeff Jones, Roy Watson, WLH, Caden Kendricks, Skip Wiley, Nikki with no last name, Zach with no last name, Sue Bull, AMD 420, Jen Mank, that's Jen, there she is again, Mandy with no last name, Patty with no last name, Jeff Scott, Tara Atkins, Troy Fletcher, Stephanie with no last name, Nicholas St. James, Josh Moore, Rhonda Kirkham, Evan McKeon, Chantel Conley, Marielle Van Tune, Amy Cartwright, Matthew Bennett, Casey Bowman, Tara with no last name, Kimberly with no last name, Daryl Schooler, Winona Kashal, Samantha Richard, Denise Parnow, Hayden Bosleve, Nicole,
burying him from the corners.
Noel Costello, Cricket on Tour, Jesse Ibery, Ashley fucking shit, damn it, Oliviato.
That's all right, man. You just got a 30-game hitting streak there. That was awesome.
We're getting real close. Mosai with no last name, Kevin Chitwood, Cindy Daughter, Philip.
Kevin Chitwood?
Chitwood with the C.
I thought you legit said Shitwood. I was like, somebody called him.
Poor bastard heard it his whole life. The bastard.
Yeah, I thought that's what you said. Damn it.
Philip Per Year, Mariah Plotkin, Beth Van Allen, Melissa Abel, John Jeldon, Chris K, Julie Puestos, David Coyle, Adam Trout, John Warren, Jeremy Sopko, Rebecca Holraw, Diana Thomas, Tina Boccioni.
You're lucky there was no Italians in your good run there. That's what saved you.
Latin Phillips, maybe it's Leighton. Brad Hinderleiter, Spidey Mama 4, preceded by the other three. Sarah King, Tara Vanderpool, Kristen Anderson, Mary Beth Southwell, Byron Day, Jessica Villarreal, Claire with no last name, Josephine Brigandi, Abel Martinez, Luis Navarrete, and all of our patrons. You guys are fucking incredible.
Thank you so much, everybody, for all that you do for us. We can't thank you enough, honestly. We try, but I don't think it's ever... We can never we can never tell exactly how we feel because it's that deep, the love and admiration that we have for you for hanging out with us and doing that and spending all that time with us and money on Patreon. Yeah. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you want to follow either us on social media, super easy to do that. You just head over to shutupandgivememurder.com. There's drop-down menus. You'll find all that shit. Keep coming back again because we're going to got more Fast Eddie for you next week. Listen to all the other shows. And live from the Crime and Sports Studios, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus